That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. What's going on, everybody? I'm John Welsh, and I'm the gentleman.
And I'm Alex Stanford, and I am the scholar. And with us, as always, is the lipsticks and leaves herself, the lovely Lindsay Stanford.
John is so enthusiastic today.
I don't know why.
He's excited. It's been
just
a while
since
we've been
just like,
all together at the Merchant. You know, there's just been so many travel. We had birthdays and Halloween, and so it was very difficult.
Channeling Bruce Buffer.
I really wish we'd have done a show in
coming to you live,
our Halloween costumes, but it was not that kind of night. So
yeah,
it was for sure not that kind of night.
We have a really awesome show. I'm very excited about what we're going to cover today. I'm hoping that people come away enlightened, seeing things a little bit different perspective. And I want to start off by saying, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, like the video
down below.
Share, drop comments. We love interacting with you guys, and feeding the algorithm is what makes it all happen. So please do that. Every time you hit the subscribe button, somebody drops a really expensive cigar and breaks it.
Close up on Alex every time he talks.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, Can't wait. It's like showcasing the mustache.
So also I want to do a little mention. Follow me on Twitter. It's like the just strictly verbal analog of what we do here. It's a lot of cigar content, and I say a lot of things. It's very interesting. So go look for me. I'm at the Spurg Scholar.
Interesting is an interesting way to put that.
It's very interesting. Okay, stop
the
oppressing me.
Spurg Scholar.
The Spurg Scholar.
SPERG.
That's right. That's right. And I've only been attacked for having autism like 5 times.
He gets called gay. He gets called gay like all the time.
I was like, man, y'all are so nice and tolerant.
I mean, it's essentially like hanging out with John and I. You get called gay as much as you're getting subjected to what John gets subjected to on a daily basis.
But I don't mind it when John does it because it's ironic when he says it.
He's like, it's cool. It's cool.
Yes.
It's cool if a gay.
So, Mr. Stanford.
It's cool if a gay man calls another gay man gay. It's fine.
Wait a minute. That's not how that's supposed to go. Also, I want to mention our anniversary show is happening soon. We are about that 1 year mark from when we had our first Gentleman and Scholar episode. Good. We'll maybe take a stroll down memory lane about how horrible it used to be. But now we moved on. We are on like our 3rd different location, and
I love this location.
We love this support here. We love coming to the Merchant.
Just like putzing around in the back.
And, look at this place. Like this is
Isn't
just
it beautiful?
I know. From start to finish.
See the lockers in the back. Did you see Alex's locker?
No,
that's right. I got a locker, baby.
Yeah, I mean, like this, they have everything. They thought of everything. So it's like you couldn't ask for a better place.
It's the one over there that says Zeph.
That's right. Malaka says Zeph.
It's pretty cute. It's like at his height.
And it's a really good grift on the part of the Merchant, because when you have a locker, you're like, well, I need to put something in it. So
might as well.
So you buy stuff to put in the locker, and then the idea is, so when I come here, I don't have to buy sticks. I've already got them here ready to go.
Spencer, I need to. Okay.
Now she.
Can I get a refund? Honestly, I'm done with the locker.
But then when you come here, you don't want to not go buy something fancy.
Oh, yeah.
So you end up buying something. So it's like you spend money twice. It's very.
Okay. But you got the discount anyway, Spencer. That's not a selling point. We're refunding it. We're refunding it.
But we were trying to line up something really great for the anniversary show. I was hoping we'd hit maybe a subscriber milestone, perhaps 300, 400 subs. We're at 231, I think, right now.
It's definitely going to go up.
By the end of the year? We're going to have to do naked shows.
Really? All right. Next show.
Next weekend, guys. Naked show.
Well, look, we're losing subs.
Right. If we hit 300 by next weekend, next one. Okay. Well, you want to start with cocktails, or you want to do housekeeping? Which one do?
I think we're about done. Actually, while you're doing that, can we get our good friend Spencer to come let us know what is going on at the Merchant? What's new in the world of cigars?
Well, I'm not gonna do cocktails because I want to unbox my present.
Oh.
It was my birthday this week, and you guys get to open my present with me.
Hold on, Spence. She's going to unbox. We'll bring you in as soon as she's done playing show and tell. So, yes. Tell us about what you got for your birthday.
So, it was my birthday on Thursday. I accept Venmo at Lindsay Stanford 6. Thank you. Anyway, so Alex knows that I love camping and we love traveling and I love having like a bougie cocktail setup. Like I have to have one. So it's like a cocktail picnic basket.
It's like beyond bougie.
Dude, it is fucking incredible. Okay, can you like push the computer back a little bit?
Oh yeah, I can do
It's incredible.
This whole thing.
Okay, so it is, I can't really see it and I really want to turn it because I don't have time.
This is why we need a mobile camera.
Anyway, I know, right?
We do.
It has all the like cocktail, like making accoutrement in here. And you can keep your bottles in here.
Gotta put some weed in there.
It's got glasses. Fancy.
Put your weed in it, man.
It also has room for your weed. It does. See? I'm just joking. That's not cinnamon sticks. And you can put lemons, and it has a little like cutting board in it. I'm so excited. Okay, so now it is cocktail. The more you know. This was courtesy of my husband. I was shocked.
She was like, look at that. The Spurs got moves.
Abby did not even help him out with this at all.
Nope.
So anyway, cocktail du jour is a chai tea old fashioned. You know I love.
She's sparking right up my alley.
I know. Okay, so I love black tea and whiskey together. Black tea and whiskey together is incredible.
It's my favorite.
Is incredible. So I went a little autumn.
I'm excited. I don't even know what this is going to be, but I'm excited.
I went a little autumn with it and made a chai tea simple syrup.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something right now.
So we're going to start with this.
Last night, I had a Long Island iced tea, and I did not understand that there's no iced tea in it.
Yeah, none. It's all alcohol with like a
I was today years old.
Yeah, exactly. And it was literally a splash
of like Coke.
Of Coke. I was like, where's the iced tea at?
Coke, none.
But when you drink it tastes like an iced tea.
If you put
how did you get to be your age and not know that?
I was like, there's no way. What is this? That can't be right. Because I'm watching them make it.
Special guy. Okay.
No. That's a Long Island.
He's just a special man. Just a special.
So anyway, I was just like, this is crazy. There's no way.
Hey, John, did you know that there's no Dr. Pepper in the Flamin' Dr. Pepper?
Is there really not? That. What's in a Flamin' Dr. Well, I mean, I've never had one because that sounds disgusting.
It's just like some shot of something into a beer.
Yeah.
But there's but it tastes.
Yeah, but then they piss in it and you think it's Dr. Pepper.
Wait.
Is that what that flavor was?
Whoa. It is something in beer and it is called a flaming Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, you take the shot, you light it on fire, and then you drop it into the beer.
Pepper.
Gross. Sounds
honestly,
I've actually never had a flaming Dr. Pepper.
I've had so many I can't even count.
Let's just not.
Yeah, they would literally line them up on the.
Can we have Spencer come in and tell us what's going on while you're doing that?
Yes.
Okay,
please.
come on in, Spence. Tell the world what's new at the Merchant. This is exciting.
Hey guys, how you doing? Glad to be back here. Happy birthday, Lindsay.
Thanks, Spence.
Yep. Hope everyone's having a good week so far, or good start to the week. So new at the Merchant. Well, we have some new stuff coming in soon. Hopefully, Prometheus will be coming in either this week or next week. That's number one. Number two, we also. Sorry. Could y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
And also, we're hoping to get the Placencia 149 in.
True.
And then
I'm excited about that.
We got some more Fuente coming in. We got a big shipment of añejos in a few different sizes. And for all those who don't know, the añejo is opus.
Sounds like Vallejo.
Añejo means aged in Spanish.
The añejo is very good.
But
it's very good.
Oh, which camera am I looking at?
Oh, right here.
That one.
Got it. See, that's a monitor. That's live. That's you.
Got it. So the Fuente Añejo is an Opus X binder and filler with a Maduro wrapper. The quick story behind it is that something happened at the factory. I forgot whether it was a fire.
Oh yeah, I remember that story.
But anyway, they lost all the Opus X Rosado sun-grown wrapper leaves. So instead, they got creative and slapped the Connecticut broadleaf Maduro on top. And that's how we have the Añejo. Really good cigar, and also too, if you want an Opus but don't want to pay an Opus price for it, it's a good way to go.
See, such quality intel. That's why we have him on.
Quality intel.
Tell us about the Year of the Tiger. Hello.
Oh, and also we do have.
He didn't want to prep for this. He's like, I got this. I can bring it.
Well, here's the thing. We did get the Year of the Tiger in. However, most of it's already sold.
Yeah, I bought a bunch.
Exactly.
How much is left?
See, this is what I'm talking about. We can't get anything because Lindsay buys it all.
I'm sorry.
I know. Look at her.
I bought some for Alex as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad, Alex, and you can have some. But what about the rest of them?
I have a few singles left, but
No boxes left?
I have a box held for two. I have 2 boxes held for people.
One of those people is Chris, isn't it?
Actually, no.
No, he only bought 2.
Wow. Wow, Chris, cutting back.
I know.
I know.
All right. What about you still have a couple of those Davidoff Royales?
No, I sold the last one yesterday, but so unlike the Tiger, I can order more Royals.
Right.
So I can take.
And now tell us what we're smoking today,
Yeah,
Spence.
what are we smoking today?
Okay, so today we have the Tatuaje MEII right over here. So a little backstory. So Tatuaje was started by a guy named Pete Johnson. He's one of the premier blenders in the industry. So the story goes originally was that he took a Monte Cristo #2, a Cuban Monte Cristo #2 to Don McBean, the blender for my father, and said, "Hey, I want you to copy it with Nicaraguan tobacco." And so after a lot of trial and error, he did. Now, as which blend this is now today in Tatuaje, I'm not sure. And by the way, Tatuaje means tattoo in Spanish. But Tatuaje as a whole tries to go after that whole Cubanesque vibe and spirit and all that.
It's for the audience. Sorry.
Yep.
Shows in
He goes after
3D.
that,
Or should I say triple D? Hello.
the Cubanesque vibe. Now, you're not going to see that with the MEII, but with a lot of their other smokes, very Cubanesque. Now with the MEII, what it is it's a San Andreas Maduro wrapper wrapped around a Nicaraguan binder and filler.
Oh, I do like a San Andreas wrapper.
With this cigar, you're going to find an amazing draw, really good flavor, and a really good burn.
All right.
Yeah.
Pass
So
the
look
drinks.
forward to getting y'all's feedback.
Where's Lindsay's stick? I'm gonna have to
It's by my
Sticks
stand.
Anyway,
Oh, I forgot.
Oh, yeah, because I got to
do you have any
What do
questions?
you want to do?
I tell us the price point of this one, Spence.
It's MSRP in Lafayette, Louisiana. It's $11.
So it's not an unaffordable stick.
That's
I
right.
would say.
And all the sizes are the same price. It's just right now, this is the only size
There
I
you
have
go.
in right now.
Well, look, it definitely fits the drink.
Hey, John.
They're adorable
Pour the
together.
rest in your cup.
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
You're
so
like, yes.
we appreciate it, Spence. And if we have any questions, we'll let you know.
Thank
got
you,
it.
Spencer.
Y'all enjoy.
Give it up for Spencer, everybody. Our little Spencer.
He's so cute.
That's right. There
So
it is.
shy.
There it is. There
Okay,
it is.
so-
There it is.
While Spence was talking, I made our cocktails. And our cocktails it is 2 ounces of
Shaken.
bourbon.
Very
Yeah,
shaken.
bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this smells amazing.
I just used a bullet this time. Just a straight up regular old bullet.
What are you picking up on the dry pull, John?
Raisiny goodness.
I
Very
am
raisin.
picking up someone interrupting.
I'm sorry.
Do you want to take a
It
dry
was
pull of yours,
Alex.
babe?
Hit that real quick.
Hit that.
Hit it.
Hit that. Yeah, you know how you do it.
Stop it. I'm right next to your wife, man. Freaking me out.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
What did you guys say?
Raisin. It's
Raisin.
a raisin. It's a
Lots of
light
raisin.
hay.
This is what would happen if John's
Yeah.
mother had a child with the devil. This is what it would sound like.
No, it would be lower.
All right. So if you like dry pull and then like retro hail that dry pull, you get a lot of raisin.
It's like spit through your nose.
Kinda, yeah. That's what you
All
do.
right, I'm
Anyway,
ready to like
so
this puppy.
hey, wait. So it is 2 ounces. Hey, can you pass this back to Alex for the burn? 2 ounces of bourbon. I made a chai tea simple syrup this morning, which was a cup of water. You boil it, and then once it's boiling, you pull it off the heat. Throw 4 chai tea bags in it, and let it steep for 15 minutes. Put 1/3 cup of pure maple syrup in it, and then bring it to a boil for 5 to 6 minutes. Let it cool, and then you add 1.5 ounces of the simple syrup, a teaspoon of lemon juice, shake it all up, throw some aromatic bitters in, and you're good to go.
Well, that is impressive. I would like to toast this amazing drink. Also, can you put the recipe in the comments?
I certainly will.
And then we'll post them on the GNS page. That way, when we release
Yeah,
the
that way
episode.
people and you can put it on your Twitter too.
That is like, this would be such a good fall cocktail. Like I
Woo.
would serve this for Thanksgiving.
Oh my God, that is forget about it.
Hey, can you come pick up my suitcase and put it on the
I
ground?
got you.
Thank you.
Hey, Lindsay, I'm gonna probably want another one. That's kidding.
I can make you another one.
Dude, it tastes so good.
Mm-hmm.
As Will Ferrell would say, it's so good on your lips.
So good.
When it hits the lips.
When it hits the lips.
When it hits
It's
the
so
lips,
good.
It's just so good.
So
All right.
good.
All right, Lindsay, you ready for yours? I got to light yours.
Yep, please.
So this is an easy cocktail to make at home, which is dope.
Exceptionally. Yep. Very, very super, super easy to make at home. Hardest part is making that simple, but you can make it, you can make a couple batches at a time. It lasts for 2 weeks in the fridge. So easy to make for the holidays.
I think I speak for everybody that's in the viewing audience. They want to see you make another one.
Probably so. I'll make another one later.
Here you go.
I'll just get the shaker out.
All right, so John, give me some preliminary thoughts. We're going to talk about the show and what we're doing, but we got to follow protocol, which means
what's protocol? Do we have protocol?
Yeah, we have protocol.
We don't have protocol.
We have total protocol.
Alex thinks we have protocol. We don't have protocol.
I like the dry pull. So far, I'm tasting some goodness. It's not a bad smoke at all.
No, it's not bad.
Far.
So I thought my dry pull was very Rocky Patel.
Ooh, that's a good. I know this sets the market for like half of our people in California because that's all they smoke.
And the actual smoke is more like almost like Roma Craft, Neanderthal, kind of almost like LFD double Ligero. It's extremely earthy.
See, the reason why he can do this is autism. Like the people that are like, it's bullshit that people can do that. No, it's autism. That's what allows him to be able to do that.
Feeling very targeted right now. Very.
I don't think you're targeted. I think it's just
it's probably that gay mustache.
She's gonna get us.
It just took off. Do that again. Oh yeah, I'm gonna close up on this. Do that again. Look at it. Take it off. It has wings.
It does have wings, but yeah.
Choo!
Everyone that doesn't agree with him on Twitter is just like, got such a gay mustache.
I know. I'm like, man, I missed that day of law school where they taught you that one.
That is an extremely heterosexual mustache.
They said when the law's on your side, pound the law. When the facts are on your side, pound the facts. And when neither are on your side, make fun of the other dude's mustache.
Yeah, that's what they do.
That's how that works. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when all else fails, pull some card.
All right. So Lindsay, did you give us your thoughts, your preliminary thoughts on the smoke?
So
yeah, let's move this.
Thank you. Yeah. So my cocktail's really spice heavy.
Yes.
And so I'm kind of trying to clear my palate a little bit to get like I'm
gonna keep
clean first taste.
I have to keep looking for it. Every time I look over, I'm still staring at the cleavage. I can't stop. I'm like, why? They're like right there. Thanks, Lindsay, for.
I'm forcing you to look at my tits.
You are.
Forcing you.
I think those boobs are like sexually assaulting us.
Dude, they're out there like Rocky's like, no, it's real. Jug them out.
They're going to knock your ass out, too.
Like, I'm done. So
all right.
Just taste it.
You're stupid.
Jeez.
All I do is work on my hair all day long, and all you want to do is touch it.
So what I wanted to.
All right. I'm going to put the cocktail recipe in the comments.
Okay. All right. While she's doing that, I want to discuss kind of what the main point of the show is. And I wanted to, I spend a lot of time on social media engaging with people on both sides. And there's just so much that needs to be discussed with the Rittenhouse verdict, because one of the things that I do is when I listen to people talk, I kind of figure out how is their mind working? How do they get to these positions? And that would really help people if they understood what is going on in the minds of people who are on the other side from you, because everybody's got their opinion. Everybody knows about it. Some people have paid more attention than others. Some people followed the trial. Some people just looked at headlines, but everybody's got an opinion. But no matter what that opinion is, there's going to be another person with a radically, diametrically opposed opinion, and it's going to conflict with yours. And I think it behooves us all to understand how a person can think the way that they do. It's not to say that the way they think is right. It's just if you look to understand, then it's really easy to see your common ground and actually address the issues instead of just attacking each other because you're not in my tribe, you're not in the little bubble that I occupy. So I wanted to go over not only the legal ins and outs of the verdict, but also the narratives that both sides are trying to impose on this and why people are saying what they're saying and hopefully, learn something. I try really hard to understand what my opponents think because when I was younger, I used to just debate. All I did was debate. And I guess you could say I was a mass debater. But
now it's just a masturbator.
No, I mean, you don't want to go.
But now I just want to understand, because if I understand, then that teaches me more about how the human mind works. I want to know how people believe any of the things that they believe, because if there's something innate to the mind that allows you to be susceptible to something like that, I want to make sure I protect myself. So
that's why I find when people talk about being, you're a flip flopper. No, it's like they had an opinion and they saw another side and then they maybe changed their opinion. So what's wrong with that?
Right. So first thing I want to say about the stick, now that we're getting into it, is because whenever you give your first impressions, it's almost meaningless, because it's you just burned it and it's not the tastes haven't matured, but it's not a bad stick at all. So it's definitely one of the better tatuajes I've had, if not the best one. So far so good. I don't know if it's enough to blow my kilt up, but we'll see.
I love blowing this kilt up.
I don't. Then I see nasty things. But listen,
you wore underwear. Usually.
Oh my god! My god!
So seriously, this is.
All right.
When you said Rocky Patel, I mean, my mind raced right back to like the Rocky Patel, the way that they taste.
Yeah,
it's really similar. Is it the same? Hey, Spence, is this like the same ground where they would get the leaves from? As like Rocky Patel to them?
This has way more of like a burnt coffee note than Rocky Patel. Rocky Patel tends to have a little bit of a sweetness, at least in the first half. There's no sweetness to this stick.
I'm getting all kinds of sweetness.
That's the sweetest you are.
Yeah, I'm getting a
I
raisiny,
agree. I get like a cocoa-y,
Yeah,
like
like
raisiny, creamy.
Raisy, yeah. Like there's a bunch of stuff in there. It's all sweet. I'm not getting any burnt anything. Maybe your palate's crazy.
I don't know.
Better than mine.
I don't know. I mean, I've taken a few looks in my day. I don't know. Maybe.
Yo, it's not like I wasn't playing with myself when I was 13.
No more.
It's like 7, buddy. Try it again.
Oh, dude!
So on today's show, John and I just do Stallone impressions badly for the next hour and a half.
But no, I think this screams Rocky Patel. That's why when you said it, I was like, oh my god, dude, he's right, like 1,000,000% right.
Also, I want to point out, even though no one's really watching right now, if you ever have I'm one of them, dude.
Oh, well then, that's not good.
We got one other person. Hello.
It's probably Spencer.
It's Spencer. It is Spencer. Hey, Spencer.
Hey, Spence.
But if you think of a stick you want us to feature on the show, let us know. Send us a message, a comment, whatever. We always want to try to give people what they want. So
I try. They just hate me.
Do that. Okay, so we've covered most of the preliminary stuff.
Hey, Spence, do you guys sell this here? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Not with that design, but I do sell it. Yes.
You do. Can I get one of these?
We can talk about it for sure.
Okay, good. See, look, they have so many cool things here at Cigar Merchant. I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean, they have so many things that when you walk in, like I walked in today, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" They have a trundle. That thing is awesome. It's like it's not. Well, it's not a real trundle. It's like
it's not a bed or what?
No. I mean, like, look, see the cigar boxes over there?
Right.
Like, you could probably hold like at least 30 in there.
The big one? Oh, yeah, at least 30.
And you just take your trove of friggin' cigars. You know what I mean? Like, dude.
What's crazy is
you could throw that thing.
Trove of cigars.
It looks a lot like the stuff that we use in Warhammer, because we have to have these hard plastic cases with foam trays for our models. But this is like hard plastic cases with foam trays.
You're not going to damage a cigar in that thing.
No. If you're gonna like travel and you don't just have it on your lap or your seat or something, you'd want something like that, because even if you have a small humidor, they're not going to secure individual sticks
No.
together. They're gonna roll around in.
But why I say that is you don't see that in Lafayette anywhere else.
Oh, that particular kind of case.
Yeah.
They're like
Like,
pelican
they're-
cases for
They're like pelican
cigars.
cases for cigars. Like, I mean, we all have the like little ones for like when we're going out. You're like, oh,
Right.
I got 2 or 3.
Okay, so
Cigar merchant took it up a step. They're like, nah, we got.
no, we got
big
actual
pelican.
pelican cases with like I know I almost bought one of those for Alex actually, but it holds like
I didn't mean to
40
throw you off.
cigars.
It's fine.
It's just like, dude, I
Okay.
can't. Every time I look around here, I'm like, dude, I just want to come here and just hang out.
That's why I come here and hang out all the time.
That's why we do that. Oh,
Anyway, let's go back to our topic. I'm sorry, but I messed up.
I was talking about the cigar,
Sidetrack, Willie.
and it's got like 2 levels of finish.
It's like fucking Christmas.
There's the initial
I know,
finish,
right?
which
So
is
good.
like real cloying, real heavy, and then there's like the after finish, which all of a sudden gets really light and kind of decadent, almost like a dark chocolate cake. Just kind of, it's interesting.
chocolate cake, Jesus Christ.
No, I pick up a dark chocolate cake. At no point in time did I pick up anything burnt though. I mean, but I don't have your palate is 10 times mine.
It's just
Okay. See what you mean. But it's like of burnt.
yeah. That's what
It's
I'm
like
saying.
just like it's like super like if you
That's what I'm
retrohale,
saying,
it's like way in the back of the retrohale.
Your palate is 10 times mine. I'm still trying to get to your level. And because you've had a plethora of great, amazing cigars, like you know the fine details of each one.
So Alex taught me how to like chew the cigar smoke, which is really interesting. You like bring it into your mouth. You just kind of like it's really interesting. You like savor it and you move it around your tongue and you can pick up all the little flavor.
I'm gonna
John,
just take your.
and what you do when you want to do that is you got to talk real soft like this, and then you
just want to put it in your mouth. You just want to put it in your mouth and you want nom nom.
Just want to put it in your mouth and
I think that's just some creative stuff that Alex came up with for you to get him hot and bothered. I'm
Okay,
just saying. Because that was some stuff I would say, like, listen, you're just gonna chew on it a little bit. You're just gonna use the teeth just a little.
God, you nasty ass.
Hey, Lindsay, seriously, and I don't mean to get off topic again, but
there is really no topic at this point. We're just freewheeling.
so
Exactly.
So the
We're like Lindsay's boobs. We're all over the place.
Excuse you. They are everywhere, but they are very contained. Thank you.
No, they're not. They're free falling.
Very contained. Anyway,
Oh, God, I can't
what were
look
you
over.
saying?
I'm sorry. Okay, so seriously, so you do a like you have like that where it's like a murder mystery type thing
I do.
that you do.
Yep.
Well, we're not doing this. I need to know. I want to go do that like so bad. Like, no, I want to be involved. Like, I want to be like, oh my God, I'm Jack Off Willie.
Well, you just have to.
He did it. Oh no, it's not me. It's somebody else.
We don't really have like the triple X ones,
Oh,
but
that would be so good though.
I feel like maybe you need to go into the more boudoir, like no,
Oh my god!
what is it? The more like burlesque, maybe.
No, I was just kidding. I really want to do the murder mystery.
I
thing.
can imagine John's alibis. I'm sorry he was stuck, and I was trying to help him.
No, I'm just saying. I want to learn how to act. I want to learn how to really get into.
Are you
acting.
stuck? Are you stuck? You
Listen,
look stuck.
and the
You're for
reason why-
sure stuck.
No, listen. Yes, I want to really get good at acting,
You're
so that
absolutely
so I could put off a performance like what happened in court the other day.
Which one?
When I was in court,
Oh,
I want to be able to act like that, so that everyone can be like,
oh.
he's so heartfelt. No, sorry, I got off topic.
You have to just get involved. I am involved with Amanda Shackelford and her troupe. Shit, I'm like blanking out on the name. Really,
No, seriously, I do want to try and get involved as much as I can. I think
it's honestly a blast. We have such a good time.
Do we have a mutual friend that like seriously? The only thing I've ever taken away from this lady is that she said to me one time, "Is like love your city, and your city will love you back 10 times over."
Sure.
So, and even though we don't like this person, secretly, you guys know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to
Yes.
say the name, but
Yeah, your brain waves are like emanating. over
dude,
here.
it's like
Is that Mary Jane Rockencrotch?
sure.
Oh look!
Could
wow,
be.
wow, 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 wow.
Oh my God. My cousin right now is like, oh, okay, I gotta go to the bathroom, honey. I'm leaving. Just give me 10 minutes in there. John's podcast is on.
He's stupid, yeah.
Dude, I swear to God, this is like Christmas in your mouth. It's better than eggnog.
God damn it.
John likes a white Christmas.
He loves the white Christmas. He loves that cold clumpy shit.
Gurgle. Just kidding. I'm just stop.
Oh wait, so honestly though, they are excellent. Can I have that coaster? Because I'm not a.
Sure, I won't put this down.
Oh my God, I can't take John.
They really
anywhere.
are. Like it's not.
No, I
heavy.
swear to you, it is. It's like Christmas in your mouth.
It's really good.
It's very Christmassy. Yes, for sure.
It's like, come over here, Stan. I need your cookies. Oh, sorry, man.
Extra frosting.
No, it's fine. It's
Extra
fine.
icing.
All right. Well, we haven't gotten any questions from the no viewers that we have.
We've
So
literally gotten no
I know.
viewers, so
I was like, "Oh, somebody comment. It's GNS with the recipe of the drink." It's like, I know who that
which
was.
apparently like doesn't. I can't. I don't know.
Dude, it's not like our audience doesn't understand that you are a lawyer. So if you ask a question, look, I know it's not to the Rittenhouse case, but listen, I want to know if I smack this bitch in the face, am I going to go to jail? Well, yeah, you're going to go to jail, buddy.
It's amazing how many people try to argue legal concepts with me and they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm just
Shocking,
like,
right?
It's like, hey, literally, like everything you're saying
Well, look,
is
we
wrong.
picked up another viewer. We did. Hello.
We picked up a viewer. Oh no, not.
Hello.
Hey, no,
Oh,
seriously,
yep, we did.
Lindsay, this
Yeah.
is the truth. In case you haven't noticed, I normally go to you first because you're the paperwork genius and you pretty much know what the course.
But if we're going to the law system, yeah, of course.
I go that way.
Well-
That's why you always see me. I'm like, Lindsay, don't tell Alex because I feel stupid.
Oh my God.
Can you please tell me about this?
Okay, try to be married to him. I'm like, hey babe, I feel really dumb. Can you tell me the things?
I'll even Google it first. And then I'm like, God damn it. Why don't I understand this? Lindsay,
I Google
don't
it.
tell Alex. I'll feel stupid.
I Google it and then it's like, I don't know what these words mean.
I don't know.
I know what the words individually mean, but put together, I'm like, I don't know what that means.
That's why they call it legal jargon.
Yeah, because
Then
I'm
you
just
gotta
like,
go to
oh,
somebody, henceforth and so Benson.
Did you hear the judge in the Rittenhouse case use the word hearken? I about had a boner. That was such a great word usage.
like, hearken the angels.
Yes. You said, stand and face the jury and hearken its verdict. And I was like, oh, that was well said.
Alex gets such a boner over words.
I'm
Not
telling you.
many people don't.
I mean, a good.
There's a lot of people that don't. Like most people.
What are you talking about?
It's the gay mustache.
Moist.
Okay. I don't get a boner over that. I get just
Moist.
She gets generally repulsed.
just raise it.
Oh shit! You're one of those people that don't like that word.
Oh,
It just
she
sounds,
hates it.
everybody that says it sounds disgusting.
Thank you.
They sound disgusting. I'm like,
By the
ew,
way-
this mouth sounds. Oh,
So,
it makes me
so
just
the
want to
two
punch
people
people in
who
the
just
face.
joined us, we are.
Ooh,
we're
look at that. We got
smoking-
more.
Oh, we jumped up again. You want to talk about the cigar again?
What are we at?
5. We just-
got
we're at
3
5.
total. Woo, woo.
Woo. Welcome, friends. We're smoking the Tatuaje MEII 2. It's actually, now that I'm almost finished my first start, it's the flavors are mellowing into each other.
Yeah.
And it's getting a lot better. I'm liking it now. It was kind of like, it's okay at first, but it kind of reminded me of the Rocky Patel ALR, where it has some really good fruity notes to it up in the front, but then they kind of get muddled on the back end, and you're not really sure what's the identity of this stick trying to be. And it kind of reminded me of that, but they're gelling. They're
What
gelling
does this
together
cigar
well.
And
identify
if you want to know
as?
what we're drinking,
And we're drinking
That's in
chai,
the comments.
old fashioned.
Just
It's in
go
the
in the
comments,
comments.
and we're
It's a chai,
discussing
old-fashioned, very-
the Rittenhouse case. We hope people will have questions and can forward them. But what I want to do is
We have a comment from a man named Austin. I don't know who that is, but hello.
wow,
He is- he
we
is
do
the
know
comment.
an Austin. We just hope that it's not the Austin we know.
I don't. What's up, Austin? I know a couple of different Austins. I hope it's
What's
one
wrong
of my
with the
buddies.
Austin that we know? I'm confused.
What?
He's like, let's just
Well,
hope.
that's a different-
that one. Oh, that one.
There's a
Yeah.
different Austin.
Yeah, John's like, hey, I'm gonna make an inside joke that's not funny.
It landed like this.
Yes. Yeah.
Right on
Very
his face.
flat.
Very nice. Anywho, so we were talking about basically what the
I love how the stick is
the
in
racial
face.
divide, the polar divide politically with the Rittenhouse verdict, and I wanted to talk about what it is that I've seen. It's really interesting watching what people on the left versus people on the right, what they say about the trial. And the first thing that's come out is that there is a ton of disagreement on what is the story of what happened. And I'm going to say that because you can't really say that there's a dispute over what the key facts are. The trial happened, all the facts came out, and most of the people who hold their radical views, they do concede those facts, but they still don't concede their story. They maintain their story. And so I wanted to say what the two stories that the left and the right are putting forward. And those stories each compel a different verdict. And so if you believe story number one, then only the verdict that would be sort of congruent with that would be one you'd accept. And so I'm going to keep that in mind as I talk about what these stories are. And I wrote down the most popular reactions to the verdict so that you can see exactly what we're dealing with. So dealing with the right, what I've seen is that the overall story is that a kid was innocently attacked. He was wrongfully attacked and forced to defend himself. As far as a lot of the other details of how long he'd been in Kenosha and who's he affiliated with, they don't really focus on that. They're really focused on just, I guess you would say, the legal essentials, which is at the time of the attack, what are the immediate facts before it? What are all the contextual clues to kind of say what happened? And so they really focus on that. And they also focus a lot on the criminal backgrounds of the guys that were shot, Rosenbaum and Huber and Grosskreutz. And that really is kind of a telltale sign. The right loves to do that. They love to parade a person's criminal past as somehow being relevant to what happened. And it really isn't. Those guys could be Boy Scouts, and it wouldn't change any of the legal facts, which would be who was the aggressor, who unlawfully initiated force against the other, because that's really what the law cares about. Yep. How long your rap sheet is doesn't have anything to do with it. And that's always annoying when the right tries to make the star of the show their past. It's like, oh, you're all you're doing is supporting a child rapist. Well, it's like, that's almost disingenuous.
No, it's like Pony Boy, from The Outsiders. You know what I mean? Like, he did a horrible thing. He murdered somebody. Yeah. It might have been in trying to save his buddy or whatever. But the long story short is, even though he saved all those kids, he was still condemned for what he did. He still has to be. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so that's kind of annoying that they do that. But that's basically the two main things that I'm seeing is they keep the factual analysis really limited to, I guess, the legal issues, which I can't blame them. I mean, but there's also a moral side to the story. And they tend to underplay a lot of the allied facts, which would speak to sort of the moral side. And then there's the poisoning the well against their histories. The left, their version is much more wide scale, because their narrative is almost within a dialectic of a struggle. There's this idea of there's this struggle in the country between the good guys and the bad guys, and they very clearly delineated who the good guys and the bad guys were back in the 2016 election, because they said the people who supported Trump were deplorable, and the people who supported Hillary were like the moral, upright people. They were the tolerant ones, the people of empathy. So that was the polarization they were looking for. And so this trial to them is a battle between the Trump people and the social justice activists. That's the way they like to describe them. And so given that framing, there's a strong moral association. So they really play on that moral side of, he went to where he didn't live. He had no business there. And he brought a big gun that was going to scare people. And he went looking for trouble. And so all of that description, it's a meta description. They're describing the moral context of the story rather than what are the specifics of who did what first, who did what second, who had the right to do what they did. They don't really talk about any of that. They're going more along this like purposeful discussion of intent.
Okay, so I got to stop you real quick. So what kind of relevance would that have in a case on a legal standpoint? Because if you're giving all propaganda and stuff like that, there's no validity to it. There's no factual stuff to it. So how does it play a factor in a court case?
Well, the thing is the only thing that plays in the criminal case are the specific facts. You know, they want to focus on, well, you know, if he hadn't brought a gun to Kenosha, then these people wouldn't be dead.
But he didn't bring a gun to Kenosha.
And that's it, but as far as like the causation, sure, had he not had a weapon, he wouldn't have shot those people. That's trivially true. But
so if the guy who was a rapist didn't have a gun, he wouldn't have got shot.
But the idea is they're overlooking the idea of legal cause, which is you have to go to the cause that's most close in time to the event itself, so that you could know what the more important causes are. So
yeah, that's kind of like what I'm getting at, where they're pushing more agenda.
So
instead of facts.
To answer your question, it didn't have any currency at all in the trial. And Binger, they tried to sort of force their narrative to fit some facts, and they made some really stupid comments like, "Oh, as soon as you bring a gun, you lose your right to self-defense." There is no basis for that statement. That is complete contrary to facts and law, you know. And then making the statement of, "Hey, man, sometimes everybody just takes a beating." Like, what kind of argument is that? You know, and then the
I'm actually glad you just said that, because I every time I see the whole the list of where they're like, oh, I like Joe Biden going, oh, I take him out back behind the gym, and then you have people going like, oh, I want to beat Trump up, and then Johnny Depp saying like, oh, you know, when's the last time someone shot a president and got away with it? You know, that those types of things make you go like, why was it okay to say it then? But then the only time when someone calls up, they're doing the what's the Let's Go Brandon or whatever, just because you know it is what it is. Why is it that won't be tolerated now, but beating up Trump and all that stuff?
Well,
like, I'm not sticking up for Trump.
It's not okay. So it's wrong
because it's the same thing.
Can I answer your question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's wrong to think that their MO is that there's a principle and they advocate for the principle on the one hand, and then they don't advocate for it on the other hand because they have some hypocrisy at play. That really isn't how humans operate. You know, we don't start first with the idea. We start first with the feeling, okay? And that feeling kind of colors what we think is good and what we think is bad. And so the only thing special about the left with respect to your question is that they have the power. Okay. So don't get it twisted. If the right controlled the media to the degree that the left does, they would be doing the exact same thing, but in the reverse, because when it's your guy being insulted, it hurts. And because they believe they're the good guys, and obviously whoever's criticizing you must be a bad guy. So there's something noble about suppressing them, which is why they're reacting to the Let's Go Brandon thing the way that they are. And but they didn't act the same way with the F Trump stuff and the cutting his head off display and all that stuff, because in their mind he was the villain. And so like it doesn't seem to them, it doesn't blip on their emotional moral radar the same way, because it's not an objectively applied rubric. It is an emotionally applied rubric. So when it's a guy that you feel positively about, you're going to interpret your rules in a different way than if it's a guy that doesn't seem like it's your guy. And so that you know, you look at what the right would say about Obama, and you look at the way they judge Biden. A lot of times, if you ask yourself, yeah, but what really is the standard that they're using? That standard isn't a constant. What's constant is they judge the guys they don't like way harder with way less charity. They construe everything in the most narrow terms possible so that they can score the points that they want to make, which is screw that guy because he's not on our team. And so
where do we lose so much sight of seeing the projection of where our society, where the United States should be in the global economy and the way that we are viewed? Why is that so skewed when you're talking about like, you know, us as a whole? Because we look like idiots. You know what I mean? Like we're saying one thing but doing another. You know what I mean? Like, and what I mean.
Like Americans, we look like idiots, because that's been like a thing.
Because you know, propaganda. But why are we doing this to ourselves? I don't understand. That's the one thing I have that big hiccup on. It's like we're doing this to ourselves. You know what I mean? Because it's an English thing. It's a you know, it kind of started there where their whole population.
All right. Well, let me try to answer that question using a different, I guess, metaphor.
The
okay,
divide and
different
conquer
setting.
thing's a joke.
So it's if you were, let's say you really, really, really strongly believed in the medicine of bloodletting, which was something that was the flavor of the week back in the day. Okay. Well, when they had a patient that they said, bloodletting is going to be the cure, and they start bloodletting, well, it's easy to ask, why would they keep doing it? Because they're just killing the person. But it's like they don't see the world that way. Their narrative is that bloodletting is going to help them. And so that faith, that belief is what motivates their decision making, even when it flies directly in the face with objective reality, which is why so many people died from bloodletting, because that was their way of seeing the world. So taking that same mentality, okay, that wasn't confined to the past. Humans still work that way.
I have such a hard time because all I want to do right now is like make jokes. Alex is being so like serious. And
Actually,
just, like,
I'm really invested in what he's saying because
if I was doing bloodletting, I'm so ADHD that like I would just like let someone bleed out and be like, shit, I totally forgot.
Alexa, remind
me in 2 minutes.
2 minutes to stop.
Just
that.
stop the bleeding.
Stop the hemorrhaging.
Stop the bleeding.
Oh my God, that's
shit.
so priceless. Okay,
It'd be the
so
worst.
Anyway, but to take that
Just a stupid
antiquated
comic relief
way of
over
looking
here.
at the world, but say, look, the radical fringes of both parties, they're essentially zealots, and so they have their emotional way of seeing the world, and they're going to play that out. Damn the torpedoes! They don't care because they don't think like that. They're not approaching it like these little robots where they're like, all right, well, here's the evidence. Okay, well, then I got to change what I'm doing because the evidence changes it. No, man, these are foundational beliefs for these people. And so anything that threatens to falsify them, really, those are like a foundational attack on a person's identity.
I also think that if we have people, and I know several people in like personally that think this way, that if you don't adhere to these beliefs, it means that you're just morally corrupt. And so that just means that you're like you lose all humanity. And they're like, well, I don't have to treat you good because you're a fucking morally corrupt person.
But how many
and I
years
don't have
do
to
you
do
think
anything
it took of brainwashing people to get someone to think like that? Don't you think that's crazy?
Josephine said, if I continue to use big words, she's leaving the chat. Okay.
But no, my you know what I mean? Like, how much brainwashing do people have to endure because you see a post from New York to Texas, and you just read the headlines and they're completely different because they're set up in those areas.
I'm telling you that that's the default status of how people think.
Why are we doing this to ourselves? It doesn't make sense. It's like I could just take it from my own values and what I'm going through right now. I'm trying to get myself and my ex-partner to get on the same train to move forward. And I can't do that because
you tied her to the tracks.
No, they don't want to work with me. It's like nothing I can do with whatever put them there. I'm like, who hurt you? Because I know it wasn't me. Like, who hurt you so bad that you don't even want to move
I forgot I was
with me?
supposed to bring a doll to the hearing and say, touch on the doll.
Where'd you get her?
We're here.
Like, who did that? Why are you blaming this guy? Like,
But no, seriously, we got to get back
to
to the trial though, okay? Because that's kind of the whole point.
We're still there though. I still feel like
we're not. We're talking about like just random bullshit.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not. So while I'm trying to walk you into, I know, but my brain goes like this, goes and I'm trying to pull it back in. So
I know I have the same brain now.
So, we do. So for me, so many people are trying to attack this guy who was literally defending his father's town, which he also lives in.
They don't think about it like that. That's not the story.
I don't understand that. See, why? Look, if you're going to trash a city, right? You're trashing a city, and you're just like, if you're on the left, you're like, yeah, just get them all. Trash that thing goes so we don't like Trump.
Okay, so you have to, the first thing you have to do, and this is, I guess, where my background as a topological algebraist comes in, because it's all about how it works in abstract systems. And so in any system, you have to impose a metric on it. And until you put a metric on it, there's not a whole lot you can do. You can't do mathematics on a system unless there's a metric, because a metric allows you to place values on things.
I got to stop you. The chaos theory.
No, that's irrelevant. That's a red herring.
How is that not relevant?
Chaos theory is something totally different.
how? Explain that. Just for me, because I'm
That's
not,
about fundamental indeterminateness. That is not relevant to the present discussion.
Not relevant
No.
to,
No. Okay.
Okay.
So
We will have a 10-hour long conversation
I know,
on
I'm
chaos
trying to,
theory
like-
in 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
keep this user friendly. So the thing is that whenever you have a set of facts and in a world, okay, Wittgenstein said the world is the totality of fact, and he was wrong, okay, because the world in an objective sense is just the totality of fact, but the world in the most real sense has an inherent subjectivity tied to it, okay? So really the world is more than the totality of fact. It's the totality of fact and the narrative that interprets those facts. Because you change the narrative, you change the world.
So how does the chaos theory?
Stop saying the chaos theory, because that is not at all what this is about.
I'm not saying it's about this. I'm saying like
I
who
think
would have
Candace
ever, who
needs
would
to
have ever
know, like,
thought who
what
would have ever
chaos
thought
theory is.
that? Well, we'll get to that in a second. But who would have ever thought that this dude who molested kids and like everything could have went wrong for their side? And
Oh,
their
right.
story?
Yeah, but that's
But that's part of it.
That's not really what. That's some tangential things, yes. But what I'm talking about is
So I did have a little piece of
yeah,
it.
yeah.
There's
okay.
a suspicion. I threw a crumb. I threw a crumb at the pie.
But what I'm getting at is that you're talking about how can people look at the riots and think what they think about it. Well, you have to understand that what a metric does is it places values on things. And so when you have a set of facts, like what happened in Kenosha, well, the value system says that the people who were protesting, that they were social justice activists, they were fighting for a good cause. They had this righteousness to them, so that everything they did is interpreted through this lens of they were doing something good.
Yes.
And so all the damage was really just like a reflection of what needed to happen to the country at large. So they're not going to look at it like, well, Rittenhouse was just this well-meaning kid who was just going to take graffiti off and put out fires, because they're going to look at it from how do we interpret these facts through the value system of our worldview. And so that's where
You're playing right into what I'm saying. It's
that's
like,
where they get the idea that he was a white supremacist vigilante.
Yeah, look who they have standing up for their side. That people that are strictly chaos. A guy who literally just got out of jail for molesting somebody. Another guy who was like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, that's why they downplayed all those facts.
yeah,
Because
but that's what's wrong. Like they're literally begging these people like get out of prison and go riot. Like, and those are the people you want to push your agenda or your mission statement of we need to have bigger government so we can tackle the bigger issues. Like, this is the thing that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't get it. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I mean, it makes sense to me why they do it. It's just, it's frustrating because in a lot of ways, every time that you try to change someone's story of the world, you're basically engaging in a religious discussion. Because you can't go to somebody who believes something of a religious nature, whether it's
Amen.
Scientology or Zoroastrianism or Christianity or whatever. All of those systems of belief, they are tied to the physical world through some factual claims. And you would think, well, all I have to do is just keep the discussion factual. And if their error is made abundant, then they'll just change their beliefs. But it doesn't work that way. You can't talk to somebody who's like a young earth creationist and present all the mountains of scientific evidence and be like, oh my goodness, I was wrong. It's actually this, and my whole worldview has been falsified. They are going to come up with whatever they can to defend their identity, which is this belief system. And that phenomenon is just manifest in every arena. It's not just about religious stuff. It's everything. And that's where we are now, which is why you have the pro Rittenhouse people and the anti Rittenhouse people. This is a battle of irreconcilable worldviews. And that's why the sides are talking past each other. So when you look at what the right says and the left's reactions, it's like they're not even having the same discussion. You listen to the people on the left and they're talking about these notions of white supremacy and all this systemic injustice and that the system needs to be done. And you're like, this was a white dude shooting other white dudes. I don't understand.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're pulling the wrong cards.
But you have to understand, but the way the left looks at the right, they're saying the same thing, and so you have to always understand what is going on here and then don't treat it like it's something different. If you just treat it like, well, these are two people having a dispute over some basic facts. Well, we can clearly, resolve this. No, you never will.
That's what I'm trying to get at the bottom. The nuance of what I'm trying to say is facts over fluff and smoke and mirrors
It's not fluff to
The
them.
mom's not going to win this one. It's not the OJ trial. You know what I mean? It's not.
I get it.
The thing is that I don't think that you can tell someone you have these beliefs, they're fluff. Like,
dude, I try.
Listen.
but like,
Seriously, listen. Like, but that's what these people believe. Okay, they have like such a strong belief in this that if you just tell them, well, it's not factually. That would be like me trying to tell a Christian that.
So your whole argument is the same thing as why all the people did the insurrection, to where they were there going like, we're not going to have our rights be taken, and this falsehood of we saw 30 people, but this guy's got 81 million votes for.
Okay, well, I don't know if I'm quite
presidency.
comfortable with that comparison, but
Well, no. I mean, you're. It's kind of really similar to where you're saying like these people have these beliefs, and the people who went there and said like, no, we're not going to have our rights be stomped on. Why are we going to have our rights be stomped on? Because this is clearly not true. You have a man who literally had 40,000 to 60,000 people at a rally, and then you had another guy who had 30, but yet he got more than anyone. And I'm not sticking up for Trump. I'm just saying that's well. I mean, all you got to do is turn on your TV and see. And you hear people honking their horns because they didn't even want to get out of their car.
I'm telling you, John, you're still missing it, because the people who have the other worldview, they don't see those facts as these are alarming facts. They have an answer for everything in their worldview, just like you have an answer for everything in
You
yours.
need to get one of those people on here.
well,
so
that's
we can talk
exactly
to them.
it, right? Like everybody operates through their belief lens, right? And that shapes how you. It shapes how you perceive facts. You can present the same fact to somebody and have two different or several, I guess, different ways of interpreting that fact. And it all has to do with what lens you're wearing. One thing that's really exceptional about Alex is autism removes those lenses.
Yeah, that's why I love talking to Alex.
Right. So
I gotta tell you that, buddy.
those
I love talking to you because you don't.
those
have
lenses
it.
are
It's like
removed.
that filter's gone.
But when you really believe these things, I mean, night and day, I can look at someone and their belief system and they're looking at something. I'm like, that is completely wrong. And that's where you have divergent realities, where you have someone looking at a fact and they're like, well, but I see it this way. And you have someone else saying, well, I see it this way. And they can be completely opposite. And you're like, well, how does that work?
Why don't we do this, guys?
Who's that?
80 million votes. Yeah, we all know.
Why don't we do this, guys? We need to talk about the sticks. I'm in my middle third. I'm almost at the end of it.
Yeah, I'm in. the
You
middle.
guys need new cocktails, so let's take a little
We're
break to
shaking
talk
more
about
about
the
this?
sticks, and then we'll get back into divergent realities and all that good stuff. Because
Listen,
there-
that's a thing.
there is
okay?
something I wanted to address about that, but I do want to say this cigar has really beefed us up. The curve of this smoke,
Dude.
this is like a Diaz brother. It just started off like not
So
really going
slow.
anywhere.
Agree.
And
I
then,
agree.
and then it got
Slapping.
going, and I felt that Stockton stuff, and I was like, hello.
You felt the Stockton
Dude.
slap?
Oh,
Hey.
what?
Seriously, Spencer. Good one, dude. Seriously.
All right.
For $11, dude. Come on.
Doesn't it burn kind of like a cigarette?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually pretty nice. I'm liking it now. The
do that.
all those
You
notes
wanna
of like
record him saying-
the chocolate
I got
and
that, I
the,
got that.
the cake at the end are
Are you
really.
saying Spencer was right?
Spencer got one. Spencer got. I warned him. I was like,
I'm just gonna
dude,
leave
you're
it
gonna
on
make me
the
smoke
punch.
a new stick on your record. What if I don't like it, man? I'm gonna call you out. And he's like, I'm willing to take that gamble. You know, he's like, I like to
Dude,
live
but
dangerously.
you're not the only one who would have called him out. You know me. I'd have been like, this thing sucked.
John would have just thrown
Dude,
it
I-
out against the wall and gone. Meh.
Yeah. It would have been some ugly time. But this is
I was like,
definitely
holy
good.
shit, Spencer, you brought up John's toddler. So this is something I want to share with you guys to help motivate exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So being autistic,
So
I
you
really-
guys, during the break, you guys should go research chaos theory and divergent realities.
yeah, right. So
Because I had a good point.
I was very naive about how people's minds work, because I just assumed they all worked like mine, which was that anything that I want to believe, I have a vested interest in it being true. And so I had to adhere to a sound fact-finding methodology, and whatever that methodology returned is true, then I was like, well, I guess I got to believe it because it's true, right? How does it serve me to believe things that are erroneous? And so I had this really specific way of building a worldview, and I just thought everybody did it that way.
Yeah, literally nobody does that. So.
Nobody.
Spoiler alert.
Literally nobody does that.
So-
Alex will be like, just think about it. And I'm like, my
I was
brain doesn't
really
work
big
like that.
in
Stop.
Facebook about 10 years ago in atheism versus Christian groups. And I was like, I wanted to create a group that wouldn't allow people to engage in the type of sophistry that people who are defending a faith do. They commit. And I was able to, I could write them out. I'd listen to people debate. I'd watch those debates, Hitchens versus, what's his face?
I saw that.
I'm
Dawson?
gonna forget his name. No. The Calum teleological cosmological argument guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'd watch those and I would formalize that. I'd be like, okay, this is what this guy's doing. This is what the other guy's
You're like,
doing.
"Yeah."
And so
are you referring to like especially the presuppositionalist arguments?
Yeah.
No. The Calum cosmological is not presuppositional apologetics. Those are the worst fucking people to ever want to argue with, because you're just gonna be like, well, I don't know about that, but I'm going to shoot myself because I cannot deal with you anymore because you're so annoying. And
All right, Alex has been talking too much.
Hold on. We have a shake.
Moment of silence for the shake.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Damn it.
Hey, Lindsay, but we all seen the splash, and that's probably what everyone's
was-
doing at home anyway.
That's typically what happens is there is a splash at the end.
All right, put the camera on Alex.
But the camera, Alex.
The camera.
Hello, everybody. So what I did was I created a discussion group with these rules that people had to follow to debate, and those rules would have made it impossible for people to engage in sophistry. And I really laid them out.
Alex,
And I was like, this is going to be great because Christians will come in and they'll be forced to face whatever errors in their worldview and
so
anybody.
naive.
So
Naive.
So I opened it up, and
So naive.
no one would ever
Did I
say
get you
anything.
wet?
It
Really?
never went anywhere because everybody was too intimidated by having to follow those strict rules.
You were like 12 at the time, buddy.
That group's dead.
What did you say? What did you say?
He said you never invited me.
No, that group's dead, man.
He was like 12
No,
at the time.
dude, that's half the reason why he can't be on.
There's a
freaking
certain amount of
I didn't make Alex
fuzziness
another one.
that people
Funny.
have to have in order to have their belief system. And so anything you do that makes it impossible to have any fuzziness, they really, really squirm. And that was what I encountered with this trial as well, which has been interesting. So we talked about the two narratives, and now we need to address how each narrative compels a different verdict. So if you believe that what happened was this kid was out and he was unlawfully attacked and forced to use lethal force to protect himself, well, then obviously the verdict should have been not guilty. But if you believe that this was a white supremacist who was going to hunt protesters, then that compels a guilty verdict. You have to have that because there is a normative association of this was a bad thing. And so the verdict must reflect that badness.
So you 100% think that was their agenda. They said, look, this is the way we win this case, is we just push that agenda.
No.
You really think?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay, then what are you saying?
What I'm saying is the two sides of the aisle, each story compelled a different verdict. I'm not talking about trial strategies. I haven't even mentioned the trial yet. Okay, so if you want to talk about there's trial strategies, that's fine. What I'm talking to you about
No,
is
I don't want to talk about it. I want your opinion, dude. This is like I want to figure out how your brain's working.
well, I know, but you have to ask. Like we have to do one thing at a time. Right now, I'm just talking about. I'm setting the stage of why the verdict was so controversial. Because depending on the verdict, it's going to be interpreted in a very particular way given the narrative that the believer has. And so if you believe the narrative of the right, then that verdict is okay. The only problem is it shouldn't even have to come to that because there never should have been charges against him in the first place and blah, blah, blah. But if you're on the other side, then the verdict being what it was is a bad thing. And it shows that the system is wrong because their story, the villain in their story is Kyle Rittenhouse. And if the system exonerates him, then the system is wrong and the system needs to be changed, which is why you have guys like Colin Kaepernick and a bunch of talking heads on MSNBC saying that this is just proof of the entrenched white supremacy in our system and that it's got these systemic inequities and that they have to dismantle it and rebuild it anew. And that's why they're saying what they're saying, because it's all about what the story is. And so if you are engaging these people, but you don't really understand their story, you're wasting your time. You're just wasting your absolute time.
Okay, I got to step in.
All right, go ahead,
So
step in.
listen. So if you see that your agenda is not moving in the direction you want it to go, why would you not stop? Why do you double, triple down on what you're doing?
Because
it's not working.
Because they believe it.
Okay, all right, John.
I understand
John,
that
let me ask you this: if you are a fundamentalist religionist and you believe that a religionist, somebody who just has a religion, I'm keeping it nondescript. I'm trying not to
a religionist.
Try not to be too acid tongued. So if you're a person who believes in a personal God who wants a relation with you and that prayer works, you're gonna pray for stuff. Well, the studies on prayer have painted a less than glowing description of the efficacy of prayer. Okay, so if you have all these things,
which kind of prayer are you talking about? You're talking about like praying and then saying like, I'm gonna give $39.95 every month because
I'm
that's
talking
gonna
about
heal me from
the
Jesus.
people who believe that prayer changes reality, changes the trajectory of reality to give them what they want because of divine favor.
Okay, I give you that.
If someone prays for something 50 times in a row and 50 times in a row it doesn't happen, is that person going to say, well, then prayer doesn't work? Or are they going to pray another 50 times? Okay, that's the doubling down that you're seeing. Okay, and it only seems weird to you because it is that doubling down in an alien worldview. But if it was a worldview that you shared, it would seem very common sense to you.
I
That's just how
agree
it
with
works.
that.
I agree. Okay,
I mean,
I'll give you that.
I feel like in everything that we do, like.
But hold on. I gotta say this, Lindsay. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I have
Yes,
to
you
say
did.
this. No, I know.
He's
I
a
really did.
misogynist pig, ladies
No,
and
I'm not.
gentlemen.
I'm
Don't
just
let him tell you.
Yes.
And that's why I'm
That's why
saying.
I always get introduced last.
No,
That's why you always interrupt me.
Right.
I'm sorry. No, listen. I say that because I am the gentleman, and I don't want to cut you off, but I have to address this. So you're saying that the argument of the religion thing, but this isn't. This has nothing to do with religion. This has
You're
everything
wrong.
to do.
That's where you are wrong,
You are
my
wrong.
friend.
Whoa. Give me a second.
Okay,
I'm going somewhere. I'm
I
going
know where
somewhere.
you're going.
Okay.
I know where you're going with this, and
This
that's where
is-
you are wrong.
This
No, go ahead.
isn't about religion. This is more or less about trying to win a case for the opposite side, the devil's advocate people who are like, no, we want no guns on the street. We want to make it so we are England.
Okay,
we are
so let me
Australia.
address that.
Okay, go ahead.
What makes something religious is not the objective merits of it. Just because they're not talking about God doesn't mean it's religious. Okay, when we say something is religious, what we mean is that it is to be contrasted with things which are empirical or scientific. So if we're talking about, cosmology, there are a lot of debates on what is the grand unified theory, whether it is a simulation or a series of holograms. Is the multiverse theory the correct one? And for those, it just says, all right,
M
well,
theory.
we come down to the evidence. What is which explanation is most favored by the evidence? That's what they do at any given time. But it's never this idea of like, well, we believe these things and we have to make sure these things are ultimately exonerated. And so anything that does not follow a sound fact-checking methodology, fact-finding, those are religious things. So most belief systems are actually religious in nature because the way humans process, we don't have this robotic algorithm of, all right, anything you want me to believe, I'm first going to try to falsify it systematically. That's all the scientific method is. And then if it passes enough iterations of this trial, then I'll have some confidence in it. That's not how people do things. People interpret things based on the narrative that they hold, and that's going to color how they should feel about it, and then they interpret facts that way, which is why you can have two people of two different persuasions, two different worlds. You see the exact same thing and have two totally different stories of what happened. And that's what happened with Kenosha. You have two radically divergent stories of what took place that night, even though both people had access to the exact same information. And it's because they have irreconcilable worldviews.
I know, but you're as somebody who's trying to defend and someone who's trying to prosecute, you got to play to your audience.
And
you have to say like, okay, here's a judge. Here's his how he governs, and you have to play into those things and say like, listen, this is what.
So let me ask you this, John. Binger and the bald fat guy, I forget his name. Those prosecutors, they went to law school. Okay. So if we were to ask questions of, can they articulate what the legal requirements for self-defense are? They can't. And they did in the trial. They correctly outlined in their opening statements of what the defense had to prove. They had to prove that that he was not the aggressor, and that at the time that he instituted lethal force, that he had a reasonable fear of death or great bodily harm. They correctly stated the law in all that stuff. Yet, how did they put their case on? Did they put their case on saying, okay, these are the things we have to show to win, like a geometric proof, and then say, all right, well, here's how we're going to show the first part. Here are the facts. Law applied to the facts. Bam, we met the first problem. All right, now we go to the second problem. Here are the facts. Apply the law to the facts. He didn't do that. Okay, their entire case was basically a smokescreen. They never even attempted to satisfy the legal requirements of what their case demanded. Every witness they put on made the defense's case for them. You even have Gage Grosskreutz on the stand saying that Rittenhouse didn't fire him until he pointed a gun in his face.
But as a lawyer, wouldn't you see those hills that you have to climb before you're even getting there?
No. Let me finish, okay? So he knew what the law was, but he did his job in a way that only two conclusions are possible. Watching the way Binger put his case on, conclusion one is he didn't know what the fucking law is, because none of what he did was congruent with the law, okay? The other one is he's in bad faith. Well, he showed in his opening statement, he knew exactly what the law was. So how do you explain?
So your argument is that he tried to pass an agenda that he knew was going to be an uphill battle to fight?
He put his worldview ahead of what the law was. He reinterpreted the law to satisfy his story.
Do you believe that most people are capable of not putting their worldview first?
No. That's.
And the thing is like, I think.
But isn't that how you pick a juror? You know what I mean? Like you can't push that. You have to say like I'm going to be unbiased to both sides.
Dude, why do you think OJ walked? Because the jurors said out the words, "This was for Rodney King." I mean, no, they're going to put their story first. You just have to hope.
That is why that whole case was like a scam.
Do you know why? Do you know why in my job, jury selection is part of the winning of the trial? If it was the case that jurors were just robotic fact-finding machines, any 12 would do. Because the job of the prosecution and the defense is to say, all right, here are the rules that the law operates. And if you find facts in this way, then you have to decide this. If you find facts in this other way, then here's how you have to. They make it very formulaic, okay? It's not like, well, depending on how you feel, just vote whatever the hell you want. They don't do it. They really make it a formal process. Yet they still fight tooth and nail over jury selection. And the reason is because everybody knows that each juror is a person with a story. And if you can line the jury with people who share the story you want to give the verdict you want, you win before the trial even starts.
Right. So you want to stack.
I get that.
You want to stack your jury with people that share the worldview that you're trying to convey.
Just like you want to stack the judges at the Supreme Court.
That's right.
I get it.
Because the thing is that human beings are primarily emotional creatures, and everything that we believe, even though it might have this veneer of intellectualism, it's ultimately, if you reduce it enough, it's an emotional thing. And that's what's different about me is I lack that emotional component.
And that's why we love you.
I'm weird.
You are weird, but I mean,
not weird. That's actually, if more people thought that way.
No, it is. No. It's weird. It's weird not because it's not something that we should strive for. It's weird because nobody else fucking can do it. So, like being married to him, and he says all the time, yes.
I'm sorry.
We do. I agree, Josie.
Yeah, there you go.
That's Josephine Ortega. She's a cigar influencer. She's real cool.
I know. She's in California. Can't believe she's watching the show. What's up, girl?
Hey, John's watching the show. He's probably one of the three.
He's done spanking it.
Well, okay,
Dude,
so
did you see I would be in the bathroom too? Sorry.
Okay, but where were we? I forgot.
Everyone has their biases. You were talking about,
right? Yeah, we all do. And I mean, Josie and the Pussycats. Jesus.
I love that cartoon, dude. What are you talking about, man? That and with the shark, dude.
Everybody does have their bias.
I'm gonna get John Adderall for these shows. He is all over the place.
Fucking Christ,
dude. What are you talking about? Like my brain, it moves like yours, don't it? But you're broader, like a way broader stroke.
He also is much more laser focused.
Yeah. I have a reason why I'm asking these questions, because I'm also thinking about the audience and like how they're thinking, because they're probably thinking exactly like I am. They want to scrape your brain and see where.
All right, so let's get into some actual responses to the verdict, because this has been fascinating. Watching people that I'm friends with personally, and or
When
people
you
I just
wonder
know online.
why we have the arguments that we do, this is why.
Oh no,
This is why.
there's so many times where I want to say things too, but I'm just like, I want to see where he's going.
I mean, listen, we have the arguments that we do. This is why. Not because I don't agree with him, because I do, but he calls out my bias, right? And I'm just like, I don't have that bias because I don't see it. I don't see that I have a bias until like we actually like start having a discussion. And then I'm like, oh, I totally have a bias. Okay, I see it.
Yeah, but doesn't that help you to like?
No,
grow?
No.
Like-
It absolutely does. It's just
dude,
like
I love
it's just like trial by fire. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll totally give you that.
He's like, fucking grow, lady, and I'm like, I don't
I was
want
just like,
to.
damn. I do it sometimes. Sometimes I cower because you know me. I have a lot of insecurities, and I'm also anxiety city over here.
Listen, if you want to get over your insecurities and get over your anxiety,
He's helping me. Trust me. He doesn't even know what he's doing for me, and he does it. And I'm like,
no.
please.
I do, because I have the same issues, and I'm
Yeah.
married to him. So I mean,
Dude,
if you're in
not,
this man's
not the calves,
life,
but she has amazing calves.
I do have amazing calves. I do. Of the three of us, mine are the best.
Yeah.
It's fine. Of the three of us, mine are the best. Alex is.
Oh, dude, you're
No,
killing me.
not even a
I'll give you
question.
that. I'll give you that.
Not even a question.
I haven't
Whatever.
seen Spencer's calves though. Spencer, show me your calves.
He put his foot out.
Can't even
That's
lift
not a
his
calf,
leg.
Spence.
I
Anyway.
can tell by your skinny jeans that they ain't as nice as mine.
No, hold on. Let's read what Josie said. I said,
No one knew they were a child molester or domestic offender, but that just took any sympathy out of the case for me because of my background. I completely agree. Those kind of things, like I didn't find out about that until
Yeah, I
just
didn't-
recently.
yeah, I
And
didn't
that's a fair criticism to have of the left, because it's like they're making these guys poster children for their cause, even though the optics are terrible. And like part of my job as a trial attorney is you have to measure your optics and know, is this going to make me look worse than not fighting this battle?
So I think that
argument.
I think that optics is. Do you think that that's something that all trial attorneys consider?
You have
No.
to consider that.
I don't. I also
No.
don't think so. Like working for you and working in the area that we do, I'm like,
How do you not consider that?
Some do. I've had some where the other guy fully saw his opposite, and it makes working
Like
with
Billy
him really,
does.
really, really easy.
Billy does.
But the ones who can't,
Billy Mouton is another attorney, another family attorney. She's pretty much the only one that I would recommend in this area. But she does. She definitely does, where she's like, judges aren't going to like this. Let's see what we can do. And we try to get it favorable, but it's just, I don't think a lot of people do. It's difficult, but working in the office that I do, I see optics. I'm like, even if it's bad for our client, a lot of times I'm just like, wow, okay, this makes you look terrible. I realize, like, in the general sense, it's really not that big of a deal, but it makes you look real freaking bad.
right. And
I know all about that right now.
part of my job is having to explain to my clients, like, okay, you don't realize how bad the optics are for you. So just take my word for it and do what I tell you.
Austin Aris. I don't know what his actual last name is. I don't know if Aris is, but he said, I think those facts about the deceased are important. They give us an idea of what could happen to Kyle if he was unable to defend himself. They have a history of violence.
It's
and
true.
I agree completely.
So in a case, and this is what was so fun about the case and what made it so frustrating talking to people about, is because depending on what legal issue you're discussing, the mental state of Rosenbaum was relevant. Other issues would make the mental state of Rittenhouse relevant. Well, anything that requires you to measure the mental state of Rosenbaum, well, then you need all the information that's relevant. Not only what he acted, but his history helps you answer any questions about what he may have wanted to do that time, because, well, he's done this in the past. This is the kind of person he is. And so absolutely, the past of Huber and Rosenbaum and Gross is very relevant to some things. Not to everything, but to some things. And it's true that Rittenhouse didn't know about their past. So anything that forces you to consider what Rittenhouse was thinking, you can't appeal to things he couldn't have known. And so those things are ultimately irrelevant.
I'm not horrible with names. Which one was the guy who was the child molester and had the gun? The main one.
Grosskreutz was the
Grosskreutz.
one with the gun who had his bicep.
Okay, so why was that dude even holding a gun? Did they even say that in the trial?
Because he brought a gun.
Dude,
Okay, I get that, but where
if
did he
all-
get it from?
Oh, my
I
bad.
I
Because
mean,
if
if
you're a
all
child molester or
felons
something, you're a
just
felon, you
adhere
don't-
to the gun, they wouldn't probably have. They wouldn't
Which is
probably.
why
be felons.
we all should have carrying licenses to have those kind of things to defend us against people like that. So what's wrong with that?
So can we get to the verdicts now?
Yes, let's get to
Okay,
the
I want
Let's
to talk about the different reactions that I've seen from people. So obviously
Alex is just like fuck you. Too.
among
He's like,
among
"Shut
the
up, shut up."
right, there really isn't any disagreement. Everybody celebrates the verdict, and so
No one's
it is what it is.
horrible thing that happened. It's
No,
a horrible thing
no.
that
The
happened.
verdict, John.
No, a
They
lot of
celebrated
people
the not guilty
celebrated.
verdict.
No, I get that that people.
Okay.
Hold on, I get that people celebrated because they were like, "Oh, it's sort of a win for us," but life was lost. There's no.
Right, but I'm not talking about any your attitudes on it. I'm just saying that.
This is your attitude.
But
I get it.
those are
I'm gonna fuck about
those
you
are
too,
people.
John.
They legitimately they celebrated it because they said this was a victory for truth, not so much for their side. But anytime.
No, I get that.
Anytime the truth lines up with your worldview, then everybody's real big on objective truth. But as soon as the truth kind of gets away from your world, then all of a sudden they get fuzzy.
I think it's a big win for bravery. I mean, think about the fear that those jurors had, right? Like they
were caught being videotaped a couple times.
I mean,
they were followed.
we potentially
They were threatened.
I absolutely thought the verdict was going to go the opposite way because
Why?
Because jury intimidation.
Because during intimidation, like
Yeah.
if you threaten my life and I feel like the lives of my children are threatened.
I think it
What
was
would I-
the
what would I
first
not
day of
do?
deliberations. There was a report that one of the marshals was told that 2 jurors were withholding their vote because they were afraid of what would happen
Right.
if they acquitted him.
I mean, your kids, your family, your livelihood, everything is potentially at risk, and your number just got called. That's the
So,
reason why
don't
you're
you
there.
realize that-
Again, I'm throwing right back to the same thing I've been saying since like 2 hours ago, or I'm sorry, an hour and 20 minutes ago. Listen, Alex, this is why I'm saying, why are we heading our country in this? Like, we're the land of the free, home of the brave. Why are we pushing ourselves in this direction? Like, who got to us? Is it because like China brought us up? Or it's because they're like, look, we're going to push an agenda because we want to control everyone, and we read the Sun Tzu. Like, why?
They can't not do it because that would require them to change their story, change their whole worldview. They're not going to do that. So rather than see their entire world collapse, they're going to just see it through to the end because in their mind, that's the right thing to do because their story has put that kind of value on it. It doesn't matter that it's not working. Dude, think about communist Russia.
I'm sorry. Explain that just in a little bit more detail what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that
Like layman's terms.
your narrative puts a moral compass on the world of good guys and bad guys. Okay?
Justice.
No. Well,
Lady justice.
yeah, but that's a particular worldview. Okay?
I got
Their
you.
worldview is that there's a fundamental inequity with the way America is, and this is just a product of it. And so their story compels them to take a certain course of action because that's the righteous one. It doesn't matter that it's going to ultimately not work because they don't see it that way. History is replete with examples of a ruling class just running their country into the ground. And it's because that's what their story told them was the right thing to do. It's not that they're just fucking idiots and they don't know that. You talk to a Keynesian economist versus a von Mises, an Austrian economist, where one's supply side and one's demand side. They're going to have radically different opinions on quantitative easing or injecting the money supply. Is inflation good or bad? Well, look,
Those people have a certain agenda, though. Like they definitely.
everybody has agenda, John.
I get that, but
Everybody has
you're
an
talking
agenda.
about a way focused instead of a broader stroke. I'm sure the majority of people look out for the better of society.
I don't know.
Then-
I don't think so.
No,
I don't
they
think
don't.
so.
They don't
I
agree
would
with what the better is.
No,
I would hope that you're wrong.
Okay, so yes, right. But what determines what is best for society? It's your worldview. So I mean, if you're going to say, well, well, fighting for this is best for society. You're not going to have someone being like, okay, well, no. This thing that completely is contradictory to my worldview is best for society. So I'm going to go over here now.
Okay, John, the word best presupposes a value metric. Well, if I have a different metric from you, then what's best to me will not be what's best in your worldview. And so, look at confiscatory tax schemes.
Hold on. I got to shut you down for a second.
Shut me down.
I mean, but I do.
Shut
Because
you down.
I respect and understand where you're coming from. But listen, it's like saying
He's
that,
like, but you're wrong.
but hold on, Lindsay, give me a second. So if you are the owner of a business and you're selling a bunch of widgets, right? You're selling this thing, it's out there. And then all of a sudden, everybody that you now know that works for you goes, you know what? We don't like selling your widgets. And they go like, I'm not going to do it for you no more. And then you put it out there and everyone's going like, oh man, I really don't get why you would even sell widgets. Or it's hurting people. And your stance it folds. Even though you're willing to pay $25 million a person, whatever it is, to make people go like, I'll look past the widget. You know what I mean?
I'm very confused.
I'm very confused.
Okay, let's look at it this way. So you're the
Trying
owner
to look at
of
it,
a
you're
business. I'm sorry. You're the owner of a business.
You're selling widgets. We get
You're
it.
selling widgets, which is whatever it is, right? And it's bad for society. And everyone goes like, you're hurting people more than you're doing good. And even though we would take that unmoral money because it makes our lives more better, we know we just won't use your product.
Mm-hmm.
It still shuts you down because there's only you go from a broader stroke to a very
Right.
small,
But that's exactly what I'm talking about, though. Is that
you're
yeah,
not.
yeah, because the ability to say this is not good for society requires using moral judgments. Okay, so you have to have a moral metric to measure facts to say this is a good thing versus this is a bad thing. And if your metric is backwards, then what one person is going to deem as good, you're going to be like, that's bad. And so it's ultimately a war of conflicting worldviews, and you have to understand that you have to treat it that way, because if it's just a matter of this person has an error and I'm going to disabuse them of that error and then they'll agree with me, that's never going to happen.
Okay,
That's not how people are.
long? Speaking of, yeah, that big one isn't working.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
That big one ain't working.
Oh, John hit him with the sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
John hit him with the dumbass. Anyway,
That's not dumbass. That's what she said, Joe.
Alex, how long did it take for you to get
Again,
me
that's what she
to
said.
see?
God
How
damn
long did it take for a long fucking time? How long did it take for you to get me to see that my worldview was not primary?
Oh my God. 15 years? 15 years.
Of constant, and maybe it wasn't constant.
And you know what? You know what got you to? Okay, so here's one thing that I've learned that I haven't really talked about yet.
Take
So
the torch.
every now and again, you have an example of someone changing their ultimate narrative. Okay, whether they're losing their religious faith or they're changing
Right.
religions. I'm like, well, every single one of those
How many
accompanies
deconversion
what's called
experiences
a
have we gone through?
deconversion experience.
Right.
Okay. Well, what is it that triggers a deconversion? It's not a matter of
A
fact.
trauma.
It's a trauma. Okay. It has to be a trauma that elicits such a strong emotion that it overshadows and overpowers the emotion that brings that worldview.
Resets.
It's like a bucking of a worldview.
Right. It like creates a line in the sand, and you're like, okay, this is what's real now.
Like a lot of people, they lose their faith when a loved one dies, and they can't reconcile that with their worldview, so they say they scrap their religion.
Right.
Well, what happens is all the emotions that are caused by the trauma, the death, they're way too powerful, and they win the emotional battle with those other emotion beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that every person who does that, if you ask them what happened, they would say this was an intellectual exercise, that they made a conscious decision, and that's why they changed their views. But really, these are emotional things.
Explain that shit. Go back up like 10 feet and explain
10
that
feet.
one.
What is 10 feet?
Well, I mean, like, I
mean-
need to really fall back on what you just said.
So,
Make me understand that, please.
all right, take Candace Owens, for instance.
I
Okay,
got you.
you know who she is?
Of course, I know who's
All right.
Candace. She's
So-
amazing.
So Candace Owens, she started off on the left, and where I first heard of her was she was creating this software that was designed to expose online bullies. But really what it was a doxing system. Okay.
Mhm.
And so if you were involved in a political discussion, if whatever you deemed to be harassment, you could then use this program to dox them, and then, cancel culture could do whatever they wanted with them. And she was a darling of the left when she was making all this stuff. But what happened was, I think it was Zoe Quinn is what happened. She ended up getting into a feud with some prominent leftists, and they turned on her. And so she got to experience on a visceral and emotional level what was just an abstraction to her before, which is the operation of cancel culture. Because when you're doing it pursuant to your beliefs, it feels noble. This person's a bully. This person is an oppressor. So we need to out him because, this is the right thing to do. So you don't even think about the privacy infringements and all those considerations because you're just hung up on how it feels, because it feels just, it feels noble.
Yep.
Well, as soon as it was turned against her, she was no longer able to see it as that in operation, but instead she got to see it as for what it really is, which is a gross intrusion in your privacy. And it's a tool. It's a serious weapon that can be used irresponsibly. And when it was used against her is where she was like, oh my God. She had her deconversion experience because that caused severe traumatic reactions, which were too strong for her just to relegate in her mind. So they ended up taking over, and she swapped, and she became this firebrand for conservatives because she had this triggering where she said, I can't hold this view anymore. And a lot of people call her a fraud and whatever.
No,
but I think that's what happened.
I think she talked about that on Russell Brand. She actually went on Russell Brand's podcast. Like he has a couple of different ones or whatever. But I think she went on there and talked about that exact moment.
So I have mixed views on Candace Owens because as an intellectual, she has a lot of problems.
Well,
but
dude, she came from nothing. You can't do that to her.
You can't change the fact that
she didn't come from a position.
Listen, you can't change the fact that had she not been turned upon, had she not been betrayed, she'd have kept the course. She was an ideologue going the other way. So that tells you a lot about who she was. So, questions of is she being opportunistic? I have to say that I think she believes a lot of what she says, but she also plays to her base.
Does your ideologue really ever change their ideology?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
And I have to say,
Smarter than I look. More than just a set of tits, John.
Hey, stop
and
it.
people say
I don't see you that way.
I just
Except
force
for when you're sitting next
I
to
just
me.
force him to look at my tits.
Yeah.
Force.
So anyway, if we could, I mean, we're finishing our sticks here and I haven't even gotten to all this stuff.
I'm like in the final third.
Get to your points.
You gotta stop interrupting him,
I
John.
can't help it, dude. We're only an hour and 30 minutes
I
in.
can't
Normally
help
we're like 2 hours.
myself. My
We got
name is
2 more
Johnny
hours.
and
Come
I
on,
talk
Alex.
old. Okay, all
All
right.
right, let's get to the verdict.
Dude,
So-
hold on. I gotta say
Jesus
this.
Christ.
I'm
He's
sorry,
like,
there we go. There we go.
I'm
Hold on,
sorry.
hold on,
I'm interrupting.
hold
I
on.
don't care whether you guys like it or not. Listen, I get few moments to where I can actually sit down and just fucking scrape the fucking lining of your brain.
Hey,
and
you
feel-
understand that we have like a patio, right? And you can just like come over and do that.
No, I do that all the time. And then we're doing like, I don't want to do that. You're like that. Like,
I'm sorry. If you came over and were like, "Hey, I want to pick your brain about the Rittenhouse," he would talk for like 17 years.
Dude, if you said, hey, look,
that's not true.
I have a Davidoff. I want to bring you. Talk to me about some shit. I'll be
Dude,
like,
I'm not gonna bring you a diamond when you have like 16. You're fucking.
he's got like
He's getting a fucking
hell of a-
300 pack. I mean, I'm not gonna bring you one of something you already have 300 of.
or you
it
just
still tastes just as good, John.
you want to cook for dinner tonight? Cooking
John,
pheasant.
Dude, is your dad still in there?
He's not.
What are you talking?
He left this morning.
Oh,
He left this morning, but I have pheasant. I'm cooking pheasant tonight.
dude, I'm there. I'm
Okay.
coming.
Okay.
And
If you
then
don't
and then
mind.
and
If you
then
don't
we
mind.
and then we can smoke a cigar and
Talk right
and
now.
you can scrape the mental
Scrape
lining.
his
Dude,
brain.
I have to. You don't understand.
Then
like-
give him a dilation and curettage of his
so
brain.
just to kind of show the viewers how my mind cuts up reality.
Gross.
So when it comes to the,
It's like brain abortion.
you see what we got to do with you? Oh my God!
It's like God having, and it's like just it's like a genius having like a podcast with like 2 real dumbasses.
I'm not.
I love you, John. It's fine.
I'm just saying. It's like, dude. It's like when you had like the first when we went to Colorado. I'm just like, oh my god, I saw God leave for a second. I really value everything that you're saying to me, and it's like when I get a chance to pour it into like self-loathing, to where I'm like, oh my god, I gotta feel it all. I have that singularity moment where I'm just like, I can really feel how somebody who thinks in a more broader stroke than me feels like, and I need that from me, because look, if you're seeing things like you're saying, like, oh, I only see it one way, I need to see how someone's seeing it the other way, because I'll never grow if I don't.
See, and that's honestly, like, I told Alex this the other day, like, and we touched on this when we had the Falgoos on the show, right? Where Bo and I said that being married to a person with autism, and just honestly, just having someone with autism in your life that is in a trusted position, right? Best friend. So Alex, is that to you? Josie said she wants to come over. Anyway, do it.
We're going to Vegas, Josie, next month. Come meet us.
Dude, please come meet us December 11th. We got to watch Dustin.
Anyway,
Okay.
what were we talking about?
You're talking about coming over.
Being married to a Spurs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that one. Thank you.
it forces you to grow. It only because it holds a mirror to your worldview and says, but this is what's actually happening. Are you sure this is what you believe? And for 15 years, I was like, yes, this is what I believe. And then I was like, maybe it's not what I believe. You know, maybe I can see, but that understanding of saying maybe my worldview isn't correct is so much more than just that understanding. It is a complete and total deconstruction of your worldview, which causes immense grief, because you're just like, this is how I've lived, 35 years of my life. And these are the beliefs that I've had. Now I question everything. It's a traumatic experience.
Well, I don't love, but I value living in that experience, because if I don't live in that experience, how am I to ever grow as a human?
I get that. And I've told Alex several times, your methodology of because I love this man. This, right? Like, we have a seriously intense relationship, but a lot lot of it is he forces me to
the same thing.
Exactly. So we have a super
we don't
intense
exactly
relationship.
have the same thing. We don't exactly have the same thing.
They
Just want to
don't.
put that out there.
John's like, I want
We
to
don't.
have the same thing.
Alex. I can't
We don't.
But his methodology sometimes is painful, because it forces you out of this worldview. It's painful to experience.
Oh my God, you're acting like I don't have text messages on here where I'm just like, my soul has been acquired
Okay,
and has been ripped out.
I'm sorry.
It's like,
I
I
can-
allowed you to be here. I'm like, God damn it. Then I'm just like, you know what? I understand where he's coming from. I have to do the
your
whole
text
box.
messages, I swear to God,
And
I can
I'm
beat
outside
yours.
it.
I promise you I can beat yours, right?
Dude, I'm
Oh,
telling you,
no.
I have to be
No, I
outside
promise
the
you
box,
I
and I'm
can
just
beat
like,
yours.
well, you know what?
I've ripped her heart out way many more times. I've ripped yours out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they don't have the same value.
But
dude.
right, but
listen,
it forces
Hey.
us to grow.
grow, dude. We have to grow.
That's right.
How are you
While
not
I
gonna
don't,
grow
That's
from
right.
while I don't always love his methodology, right? His methodology is painful, exceptionally. Although I'm not really sure that there could be a methodology that would not be painful. The experience in itself is a painful experience.
Yep.
So yes, his methodology is painful to me, but I cannot, and I told him this the other day, I cannot dismiss its efficacy. It is, and I have gone through a period of growth in the last just year.
How do you deal with that internally? Because sometimes I'm like, as a man, I'm like, oh, I want to just cry over this shit. Is fucked up. And I'm like,
I cry
you know
over it,
what?
and then I'm like, you know what? I'm a better fucking person because
Yes,
exactly.
that's what I
There
do.
you
too.
go.
I do the same thing. I'm just like, but sometimes I'm like, you know what? Fuck Alex. I say that sometimes, and then I'm just like, you know what? But I understand that there's
Okay, so
There's a
I say
problem
fuck
there.
Alex probably at least once a day. So more once a day is a good day.
The germ of
Just
the
saying.
word "me" is between those words.
Also the same. Also, usually once a day. Separate occasions.
Where's my drum hit?
It's fine.
Oh,
That's for the, that's for the kids.
kids.
Anyway, can we get back to the verdict?
Yes, please go.
And then we got to get final thoughts on the stick here. So there's only there's finally many ways you can see it. So you can either believe the verdict was the right verdict or you believe it was the wrong verdict. Okay. But there's more to it than that, because even if the verdict was the correct verdict, it can still be bad in your story. And so you have to explain that. If it's good in your story, then it's just the system worked. Okay. So if we go through a lot of things that were written, people wrote that the verdict was proof that the system should be destroyed. Okay. Well, what does that mean? Well, what that means is that the verdict was technically correct, that it was indicative of a systemic problem. And so they're saying the real solution to what happened in Kenosha is to dismantle the criminal justice system.
Right.
But they don't go into specifics of exactly how that should work. They keep it very vague and general, just saying, appealing to buzzwords.
We just have to remove the systemic racism from it, but we don't know what exactly that means. But essentially it means taking it all apart and putting it back together again. That
statement was the most extreme statement I've ever seen from somebody who said the verdict was correct. The most extreme statement I saw from someone who said the verdict was incorrect was from Mayor Bill de Blasio, who said that the verdict was a miscarriage of justice. And that it basically proves that white supremacists can go vigilante and shoot protesters willy-nilly. Okay.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Oh, Jerry Nat. Well, yeah. He's trying to get federal charges put on Rittenhouse because he's guilty of something. We're going to find something to make him guilty of. But anyway,
That's scary.
Then you talk to the people who are actually on the streets, and most people say the verdict was correct. Even the people who are the wokies and the social the Democratic Socialists, they even Cenk Uygur on Young Turks said that the verdict was technically correct. Okay, now he gave his spin on what he thought was wrong with, but most people believe that the verdict was correct and either sends the wrong message. And the message they say that it sends is that it enables Trump supporters to go out and brandish weapons and provoke protesters. And hopefully if the protesters do anything, then it's carte blanche to just shoot them. That's a big one that I've seen. Another one is that the verdict was correct, but the real villain in the case is Rittenhouse's mother, because she let him go out there. And then a lot of people are saying the verdict was correct, but the real issue is that he shouldn't have been there in the first place. And had he not been there, they'd have been alive. And so what's interesting about those three things is that they all require that story of what really happened in Kenosha was a battle, a confrontation between Trumpism and Black Lives Matter. And that's one reason why you have media outlets who falsely reported that the victims were Black. They knew who they were, but they were so caught up in these narratives that the facts took a secondary role, and so a lot of myths were perpetuated. All could have been easily discovered, but they just didn't, because when you feel like everything you're doing is right, you're a lot less likely to rigorously police yourself. And that's one thing Lindsay will tell you about that old way of being, is that if it feels good, that's like the beginning and the end of the analysis of what you want to do, because you just do whatever.
But how can you not see that?
Because you're led by your worldview.
You're led by
exactly.
But how do you not see that?
It's so hot when you talk like that. Damn.
Okay. So putting it into not Rittenhouse analogies, right? Like, I would be upset with Alex and angry over something that I felt justified in being angry with. And it's not until years later that I have realized that, like, he really didn't do anything wrong. Like, if I was just to look at the objective facts of what happened, he didn't do anything wrong. It was just and we talked about this earlier, is the lens that you're wearing. The lens that I was wearing at the time colored what he did in such a way that I was able to pick and choose different facts or manipulate the facts, and maybe likely not even consciously manipulating the facts, but only looking at what facts supported the belief that I wanted to have, and that was that I was justified in being angry with him. And That's
know
where we
Okay.
are.
All right, John, let me ask you this. I'm not going to name any names, but you have a certain wife right now. And this individual did some really, really morally questionable things with
knife that just came out of my pack.
no, hold on. I'm going somewhere with this, okay? So she did some things that were really morally questionable with other men while you were married, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So
I'm going to answer for you. Yes.
so here's my question to you, okay? Did she think that at the time I'm doing some really horrible things? Is that how she thought about it?
I don't know how she thought.
Yes, we do. We know exactly how she
We know
told us.
exactly how
She
thought
told
about
us how she thought about it.
Right? So she was mad at you,
Yeah.
and that put the lens on that she needed to feel justified in the way that she was reacting
That's right.
to you.
That's right. Because her story was that you did something wrong because her feelings were hurt. Now, the thing that you had did that hurt her so deeply was you had friends.
Literally, you had
That
friends.
was it. But because she was so traumatized and insecure, that her insecurity and you having friends, the way her worldview interpreted that piece of data was that you did something wrong to make her feel bad. So then that justified her. She was justified in doing it because that was going to cause you to get hurt. And in her mind, it was one hurt to one hurt. And that was the only analysis. As far as like all the relevant factors of like, hey, was John intending to be hurt? Did John do anything wrong? None of that entered into her calculus. It was just her emotion was bad. So that colored how she morally interpreted what you did. And she justified what she did. So she thought she was justified. She thought she was doing good. So when you ask questions of how can these people just choose to drive our country off a cliff, because in their worldview, they believe. That's one problem I have with Alex Jones is you listen to him. Most people don't, but you really should because it's very interesting. If you listen to him, he talks about the demonic child molesters and they're just, making the frogs gay and they're just trying to dude, they don't think like that. They don't think we're serving Satan. They don't think we're ruining things. They think what they're doing is justified because of the story that they believe. Now, that's not proof of anything because people can believe really discordant stories, really skewed stories. And so you have to ultimately be your own policeman because if a human knows that if I believe the wrong story, I'm capable of committing any atrocity. We can go back to the Nazis back in the 40s when they were going through the final solution. Did they think we're doing bad stuff? Most people, they were so caught up in it, they believed it was good. Yeah. And so you can't use the fact that from an objective perspective, they have to know. No, they don't, because people are not ultimately objective by nature. They're subjective. So
I would like to think that there's good people. There's more good people in humanity than there are negative people.
Okay. I want to draw your attention to every time you say words that are value words. Every time you say a word like good or best, what you're doing is you're presupposing a metric to measure those. Okay. So, if I'm on the metric system and you're on the English system, then we're going to have a hard time agreeing on things because what makes sense in my metric is going to be alien to you because you're going to be like, I don't know what a meter is. I don't know what that means.
So what you're saying is more morality in society is subjective to location.
Everything is subjective ultimately when it comes to people because that's how they operate. They are subjective creatures. Okay. But the ultimate irony is that we dupe ourselves into believing we're all very rational. In my job as a family attorney, I see people do really horrible things to each other, but not a single person will be like, yeah, I'm the bad guy. No one thinks they're the bad guy. They all are the good because they believe a story that has themselves as the hero. And so everything they do is defined that way.
But I actually took a step back from my situation to where when I've been handed. And I took a step back and I said, well, let me value where they're coming from and understand or try to understand where they're coming from. And I actually did that. That's why I've never been the aggressor and said, okay, let me stop. Let me figure out that this is what's wrong.
Let me break that down. Okay. So the word that you said there, that was the key, is understand. because
Try to.
most people, when you have a conflict of worldviews, it's seen as attack and defend, not understand. Okay, it's a combative thing, and so there's an individual that I've been having a quarrel with online about some stuff, and
but if you get to anyone's end game, where they want to go, and you specifically say like, what is your end game? Where do you want to go? So maybe
they don't answer that.
Yeah,
I've tried that.
They don't answer.
They can't.
That. And why is that? Why can't someone not be honest with themselves and just say this is exactly what I want?
Because being able to answer those kinds of questions require you to have mapped out everything. It's a question of rigor. Okay, so if we're talking about a rigorous system, let's say it's something that's scientific, and you want to know what's the ultimate goal. Well, I mean, it's really easy to be able to say, well, this is what we're trying to do because this is the steps. And if you follow the steps, then the thing that happens, we're okay with it. And that's what we want. But when you have a situation where you're dealing with a worldview that's extremely emotional, they're not going to have rigorously mapped it out. So when you ask very specific, detailed questions, you're going to get nonsense. I asked a person who was a big Black Lives Matter supporter, I said, hey, what's your end game? And they're like, what do you mean? And everything was a platitude. Every answer was, equity this and justice that. And it's like, yeah, but those are abstractions. At some point you have to be able to take these abstractions and compare them with the world and say, we've either done it or we haven't. Okay. So what is, from a formalist perspective, anything that you're seeking has definitions. Okay. So if my job is to prove you're guilty of murder, I know exactly what I need to show. If I can show, so my goal is to show this, this, and this. And if I do that, then I've won and I've proven you're a murderer. Okay. Well, and you ask these people, okay, what do you need to see in society? Like specifically before you can say we've won and we can stop doing these things about making these calls for change, this, that, and the other. Tell me, because if we can at least articulate what your finale is, your goal, then we can analyze it. And I can say, well, yeah, but I don't agree with that goal. And now let's talk about why we don't agree with that. But they won't even state that. And they'll say things like, well, I just want that. And the more you try to narrow them down onto those kind of facts, it's like the more they fight to keep it broad scope because they want to keep things in the place where they feel the best. And it's counterintuitive, but that's the pattern that people do.
Isn't that scary to everybody? As a whole,
John, why do you think our history is punctuated by violence?
John,
that's why people kill each other, dude.
People don't understand it. Like they don't have such an awareness of it, right? They're not so aware of it where they're like, okay, these are my presuppositions. This is my worldview. These are the facts. They go against it. Let me go through my worldview and find things and find facts that match my worldview so that I can still be justified. They're like, no. These facts that have arisen, they support the other worldview, right? And in this instance, there is systemic racism in our in systemic suppression of all types in our criminal justice system that allowed Cal Rittenhouse to be exonerated. And they don't go through it and they're like, well, these are the problems with my worldview. They just say, nope. Well, since he wasn't exonerated, if he was convicted, then they'd be like, yes, perfect. If he's not, then he's just like, well, this just supports the presupposition that we have extreme problems and extreme systemic issues in our criminal justice system. And I'm not saying that there's not systemic issues in our criminal justice system. There absolutely is. Like there's extreme issues in it, but that's just not an issue right now. But when you have the worldview that supports that, that's what this verdict supports.
Right. So let me give you an example, John. So one of the arguments I'm having with people like today over the verdict is one guy.
This Berg Scholar on Twitter. If you want to follow it, you'll find out so much stuff.
Yeah, I say things. It's awesome. But anyway, he was talking about how the verdict that basically that the story of the trial was he was a murderer and he got off because he's white. That was his story, and I wanted to talk about that. But rather than like go into what would it take factually to support that statement, You'd have to get into the timeline, the video footage. All right, well, if you're saying he's a murderer, that means you're saying he took those lives unlawfully. Okay, what is it about what he did that was unlawful? Let's go step by step. When he did this, when he did that, where did he enter into unlawful territory versus acting lawfully? Well, all he has to say in answer to me is, yeah, you wouldn't say that about the January 6th people. You say that, and I'm like, dude, that has nothing to do with anything we're talking about.
I 100% agree with what you just said.
He refused. He never once actually got into the objective facts behind this. Because, like, I would say, look, you believe the story of the trial is completely irreconcilable with mine. Well, let's go to the facts. Let's get into it, and he won't do that.
I don't understand why people can't just put themselves in the exact same position to say, listen, what if your dad had a business right there on that block, and you're just like, I'm not going to let you tear down what my dad dreamed up may come to fruition, and this is what it is, and I don't want you to tear down his dream. And you're sitting there defending it, and somebody who thinks exact opposite you came and destroyed it just because of their self-beliefs. Why can't you take yourself out of that equation and look from the outside in? Why can't you do that? Because I've done that even with the sickest things I've have to deal with in the last 6 years in my personal situation. I take myself out. I'm like, what? How does she feel? I'm sorry. How does this person feel? Why did they look at this way? And I literally tell myself that almost every day. I'm just like, how can I just make it better? How can I tell this person that I'm sorry for however I made them feel? And that, like, look, I want to look at it in your perspective. Why can't people do that without having such egregious
because, John, it's simple. What you're describing presupposes that your ultimate obligation is to the truth. And that's not how people are. Most people, their ultimate obligation is to their story. And their story tells them what's true.
Most of that is fear-driven. Most of that is fear-driven, and I'll give you that 1,000,000% over, okay? But if there's nothing to fear other than change, it's not even a little bit of change, like a spectrum of change. Why can you not think outside the box for a moment? It's not really affecting you. Especially if you're thinking about privilege. Let's just go with privilege. Yeah, as privileged as it were America, and we're all privileged.
To have the mindset that would allow for the possibility of falsifying their story is tantamount to, a fundamentalist Christian entertaining, honestly, the question that Jesus maybe never was a real person. They can't do it because these issues, their marriage to these stories is so fundamental to who they are, and that they interpret everything from that. And so, I mean, look, most people are terribly irrational. The most common type of thinking is circular reasoning. That's mostly how people operate, and they will not admit it because most people want to feel good that they're reasonable people, but they're very, very slick, and they hate it when you call out the techniques that they're using to deceive themselves. And that's one reason why I get attacked the way that I do, because they don't want to actually have their worldview dissected and put on the stand and like, look, we're gonna go through this and shine a light on everything that you're saying, because we're gonna see if you're being actually adherent to a methodology or if you're just serving a belief. And they don't like that. They don't like that at all. I mean, that's one reason why when I met Lindsay, I knew I was going to marry her, because she was the first person who did not immediately run away from that tendency. Because whenever anybody would be involved with me, they ended up having to like face who they really, really were, and they were like, "We're not ready for that."
It only took me like 15 years to like actually face it.
Right, but that just goes to show you how incredibly rare it is, and and the biggest error people make is that they think that people in their camp, we're all the reasonable, rational people. Everybody on the other side is irrational. Like, that's a really childish way of looking at things, because
I think that's a childish way of looking at life. If you're over 18 and you're not having that broader stroke, then you need to self look. You know what I mean? Like,
listen, everybody has their echo chamber, right? So, like,
it's called conscience.
No, it's called just the world that we live in, right? We surround ourselves with people that believe the way that we do. So
I like to challenge myself. I'm sorry.
No, and that's fine. It's just
I have since I was a kid. I was a part of so many different. If you've talked to anybody who knows me through my youth, I was a jock. I liked alternative people. I liked so many different views because it made me think.
I have never met a person who challenged his own mind as much as you do, John. You are by far mentally challenged.
What a dick. I love you for it.
But we need to get to the
We do need
the
to wrap
final
this up.
thoughts on the cigar.
mine was
Lindsay,
out so long ago.
Why don't you tell us your thoughts?
All right, so I agree with what you said earlier about it was super mellow in the beginning. Dry pull was uneventful,
Yeah.
right? Usually, no. I hate his fucking facial expressions. Kill me. Dry pull was uneventful. Usually, I take a dry pull and I can immediately find something in it. The Rockies that we had a couple weeks ago, I took a dry pull and immediately the cherry in it popped out.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't like the grapey taste of the raisin?
No, I did, but it wasn't
wasn't
prominent.
overpowering?
Like, right?
I'm tracking you.
I took a dry pull and there wasn't really a whole lot there. I had to take a dry pull and then retrohale the dry pull and just kind of work it through my sinus cavity to really pick up any raisin notes in it. So I wasn't super impressed. I wasn't super excited about smoking it. I've had probably 2 Tatuajes ever. Tatuajes.
Let me tell you something about
Ever,
Tatuajes.
and
It's so
I
phenomenal.
wasn't exceptionally blown away by any of them. It wasn't something that I would typically go and pick up, but after that first light, once it's lit, it kind of comes out a little bit, and that raisin was heavy. I agreed that it was sweet. I don't know how you didn't really get a sweet note to it. I agree with Spencer when he said that it was sweet.
Yep. I agree too.
But not so much like a Don Pepin, right? That are real chocolatey and caramelly and desserty almost. This just was devoid of the leather and the spice that we would typically find in a cigar of that magnitude. So it was super smooth. I was blown away by that. It had that richness to it, but the richness was not embodied by and typically when I say a cigar is very rich, it has that real deep, heavy leather. That's what I love about a rich cigar, is that it has a really heady leather flavor to it. This one didn't at all. It went through the whole gamut of fruity notes. Those stone fruits, the plums, the cherries, the raisin, whatever. But it had kind of a creaminess to it throughout. And as it heated up, that second third is kind of really where it all kind of mingled. And it was very it's still super mellow, but just really, I say rich too many times, but it just was. But it was a rich, desserty, sort of heady. Jesus Christ, he's a child. Sort of heady cigar, and I really liked it with the spice of the cocktail.
Okay. So
I thought the cocktail spice would be a little overpowering at first, but it married with it very well.
So give us a score.
Give us a score. I don't fucking score this. I don't do that.
Okay.
I'd give it a 89, 90.
I give it a rim shot.
All right, John.
John just likes it when I say heady.
Yes, I do. I'm sorry, I do.
Anyway,
Sorry.
so
He's between women right now. That's why.
So I'm going to tell you right now, I agree with that much of what you said. I like
that it's
all the
heady?
fruity. Yeah,
John
I'm
likes
all
it.
about it.
John's like, I love headies.
I love Eddie's. It's so good for the head. Now, being honest, I think this is a great pairing cigar. So if you were to take this with a whiskey, you'd have a different experience than you would if you were to take it with a gin or a tequila or a beer. You'd have a different experience each time.
God, you know what? Speaking of that, I really don't like. I am very mindful about what I pair my cigars with now.
Yes.
I used to not be. I used to just be like, whatever, I'm drinking
Because
whatever.
you're gonna have a different
And
experience.
if I mean to pair it, then great.
Yes.
If not, whatever. But now, if I am smoking a cigar and it is something that I want to experience, I will purposefully curate something that I'm drinking with it, whether
Yes.
it is, I have a million different things that I will smoke with them, but there's some things that I won't. Gin is one of them.
Ooh.
Gin for me changes the flavor of a cigar. And I've done it probably 4 or 5 times where I've been like, I'm making a gin cocktail and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the herbiness and the
Like a martini as opposed to like a straight. Is that what you're saying?
Not so much. It's just gin in general. I don't smoke I don't drink real sweet cocktails. I don't drink things with like a ton of different ingredients. It was sweet, yes, but it didn't really have a whole lot of sugar in it.
No, the cinnamon kicks it all off.
Right. So I don't make super complicated cocktails.
That's exactly why I'm saying like this is a pairing. This pairing was epic. Like,
yeah, it really
That
was.
was weird. How I'm like, dude, this motherfucker's going together.
I had no idea.
Like, dude, I'm like, dude, I was having a moment.
Well, I was
having moments
glad because Alex doesn't really give me a whole lot of heads up as to what we're having. He's like, hey, just pick a cocktail. And so I'm like
happy
going
didn't
through.
know.
It was a happy coincidence that these things.
Well, you can bet that whiskey and spice or whiskey and coffee or one of those, it'll pair just fine with this.
Did you give us your rank, John?
Give us a number, John.
I didn't get there because I was still going on my pairing thing.
Okay.
So
The stone
I
fruit.
think if you take this cigar with the proper pairing, you're gonna have an experience. Alex, tell me the truth. Like, if you think about this cigar, the way it tastes, and the raisiny, the burnt, and all that stuff, and you pair it with the proper drink, you're gonna have an experience. You're gonna have a freaking roller coaster ride. But if you were to take this and a friggin' flat beer in the back of some,
Okay, first of all, who the fuck drinks flat beer and expensive cigars? Nobody.
John's from Delaware.
This is
Literally. I'm sorry.
$11. This isn't really expensive.
It's
Right.
expensive enough to not be drinking a flat beer. Damn.
You'd be surprised.
Okay, so continue.
I'm sorry that you know this
my
kind
whole
of people.
point, so I'm down here, Lindsay. You're up here.
I know. We're aware.
I'm scum on you like the highlight of today. I'm just kidding.
We're aware.
Anyway,
We know
so
this.
my point is like this is a pairing cigar. If you pair it properly, you're going to have an experience. And for today's experience, I'm going to take it to an 89.
An 89. All right.
All right. Well, we're on the same page about that. 89.
So I thought that the ash held up really well. The burn was good.
My ash did not hold up very well.
Like composition wise,
Audience would be.
I really liked it. I didn't have any problems with it.
Your
I thought that the
My ash just held up very well.
the trajectory of the flavors as you go through the thirds, I thought the first third was almost like a write-off. It really didn't do a whole lot for me. The second third, I started liking it, and the final third was good. But it really wasn't the kind of stick where, because the way I look at a cigar is how much am I going to talk about it while I'm smoking it, because that really kind of covers which tin it's in, because there's like the 70s, there's the 80s or the 90s. And a cigar like this, I really wouldn't comment much on while I'm smoking it. It was enjoyable. There was something wrong with it, but I'm not going to be like, dude, let me tell you about what I'm tasting here. It really wasn't that kind of stick. So I would give it like an 84, because for me, as it approaches mid 80s, that's like a really, really good stick. It's just not at that exceptional level where you can, gush over it. I wouldn't, I probably wouldn't even buy the stick. I would smoke it if someone gave it to me, but I'm not gonna go seek it out, because I know I can go and get a Nesta Miranda for cheaper than that, which is gonna like actually blow my mind and make me talk about it, or the Buenaventura's. So yeah, I'm going with an 84. The pairing was great. I thought the chai old fashioned was very on point for the season, because it had a lot of those associations that like Thanksgiving does. So it was a very good pairing. I thought it worked well with the cigar, but I'm not going to let a good drink elevate a good cigar into a domain where it shouldn't belong. So 84. That's what I'm giving it.
84. Not even 85.
Not even 85. No.
Damn. Wow.
No.
He's like
I'm
John.
gonna smack the dick in the room right now.
I'm sorry.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
we had 2 cocktails. He only had 1. He didn't even have a full one.
I'll take that
Sorry.
if you don't want it.
I know, right? I was just about to walk over there and grab it.
Jesus, bruh.
Oh my God.
How do you not think that this thing isn't? I'll give you, it's nowhere near to go in the 90s, but 89 for the experience alone.
Okay, so listen.
The pairing, that's why the whole mention
but
that.
okay, but listen. without the pairing, would you still feel the same?
No.
Okay, that's what Alex is getting.
And that's why I even said the words.
Yeah.
Pairing. It's a
I mean-
pairing
No, I mean,
cigar.
yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like,
I'm just trying to explain what my score represents, and I think your score
like if you have
represents
a-
a little bit more because you're talking about the
Okay.
experience of the pairing.
The first thing I said was, this is a pairing cigar.
Yeah. And
So if you pair it properly, you're going to have an experience. You're going to.
how many of our viewers are going to be like, I'm going to have my woman make me a chai old fashioned? Look, you're probably not going to get that.
it's not hard. Make it.
Easy.
Come on.
Literally, she put
Make
the
it for
stuff in
Thanksgiving.
she put
All
it
right,
in the
all right.
comments. I mean, like,
Honestly,
you could do it.
Honestly,
So
I would
what's,
love. Okay, to our viewers,
Hmm.
if you guys make this old fashioned, and you send me a picture of it, I'll send you something.
Uh-oh.
Make it seriously.
So
Like,
make
I want you guys to make these things. I put a lot of time and effort into thinking about it. It's something that I think about for like days prior to these
We
shows.
work hard so you don't have to. You know?
Exactly. We work hard. So make this for your Thanksgiving table. Impress your lady. First of all, you'd be like, here,
Why is
look
it gotta
at
be a
this
lady?
drink that I made you.
Why it's got to be a lady? Why can't it be a guy?
I'm sorry, John. Impress your dude.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Im-
John. Impressive.
Impress your boyfriend.
Yes.
Okay.
We all need loving.
Impress the person that you have chosen to spend your life with.
Yep.
Send me a photo of it on my Instagram, lipsticks _ leaves, because Instagram is ridiculous.
They are.
They really are. Anyway, so send me a photo of it there or here, whatever. I don't really care. And I'll send you something.
But as far as what we get going in the future, this coming weekend, we're going to be in New Orleans for your little birthday trip. So I
I'm
don't
so
know if we're going to
excited.
be
I
able to
don't
do
know
a
what we're
show,
gonna do.
but I want to do our like anniversary show when we come back, which would be like the first weekend in December.
It can't be December 11th because we all know. What
No.
that's
It's
gonna
We're
going
gonna
to be
be in
December
Vegas
11th.
at
It's
that
going to be
point.
December 3rd or 4th, something like around then.
be. Yeah. It's gotta
So it'll be December 5th. I think that'll be the Sunday.
We
There
have
you
family
go.
pictures on
We-
that Sunday.
We
just
could
FYI.
do something special. I don't
You're
know.
gonna
So
do it too.
No, it's
share
like a
share
second.
us, promote us, get some people
We're
to
gonna put you in
subscribe
it.
to us.
Be like, this
and
is my
I'm
other
gonna get us
husband.
something fancy to smoke. We'll get some guests. We'll have a party. It'll be great. No big whoop.
This is the other
Uh,
man in my life
I
that
wanna
I
thank
abuse.
all of our viewers for participating. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys learned something. And if you do encounter people who are politically minded and you want to get some perspective, point them my way. I'll do what I can. And this was a lot of fun. And
What's the Twitter page again?
it's at the Spurg Scholar.
There you go.
The
That's me.
Spurg Scholar.
The Spurg Scholar. That's
Spell
right.
it out.
The
for the
Spurg
dum-dums.
Scholar. SPERG.
Yeah.
There you go.
Spurg.
The Spurg
Scholar.
Scholar. Altogether.
And honestly, if like you can't spell the and scholar, maybe we should just
There
not
are
be
some
talking.
dumb people.
You
in the
shouldn't.
world.
You shouldn't be on Twitter. You
But
should
they
be
also
on Twitter.
probably won't understand
Should
what
be on
Alex is
Twitter.
talking about. So the Spurg Scholar. if you
Josie's
can't
getting the
find
last
it,
word. Let's
it's
give her
fine.
the last word.
Thanks, Josie.
Thanks for stopping
She's so
by.
cute.
We appreciate it. And come join us on our future parties, and maybe we'll zoom you in sometime.
And with that being
Yes.
said,
Oh,
I'm John
I would
Welch.
love that. Let's
Okay.
do that. Okay,
I'm
Josie,
John-
we're gonna get in touch.
We'll get in touch. Well, she's going to get in touch with you. I don't even know yet.
No, I'm gonna get in touch.
But we still love you. We still love you, Josie. So with that being said, I'm John Welsh. I'm the gentleman.
I'm Lindsay Stanford, and I am none of these two.
And I'm Alex Stanford, and I'm the Scholar. Keep it smoky.
Always, buddy.
Wah, 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 wah. Oh, she's down.